Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands and today it's the WNR365. It's AEW Prelude, but I am not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by the WNRDan. How you doing, man?
Yeah, man, I'm really good, thank you. I've been, working big.
You're looking in great shape, Dan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your gym? So you've been going to the gym recently.
I have, yes. I joined a couple of months ago and starting to get right into it and hoping to have a WNR session at the gym.
Well, you've always been a Tommy Dreamer now.
Vibes, WWE, like they've kind of not differentiated of Warrant being their own brand, their own wrestlers to knock off WWE at the moment.
Well, let's see if they can get any better, because obviously we've got 5 episodes of AEW Dynamite to catch up on. But first and foremost, a bit of news.
News!
And the 3rd annual Double or Nothing has posted according to a report from Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics.
The report states that Double or Nothing, that would only...
Yeah, and with the full capacity at Daily's Place in Jacksonville, AEW sold about 4,700 tickets to the tune of about $300,000 going towards merchandise at the venue. And I would say something quite interesting, because Impact Wrestling, or TNA, back in the day, were saying that what they were thriving on was the per head of each person or each fan there. So basically, we were hoping that a fan would go. So say if it's 4,000 tickets, say, then they would hoping they'll spend either $20 or $30 on merchandise, and then that would buck it up. And at some points during that time, it was making more money than WWE. Obviously, WWE had like 20,000 people with capacity. But I mean, when we go to a wrestling event and that, we're always spending the merchandise as well. So that's quite important business, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever left a wrestling event with less than t-shirts and some signed posters and maybe a signed Rangers shirt by a fan favourite of yours.
Always great to see Drew McIntyre. But as far as pay-per-views goes, Double or Nothing accounted for 115,000 pay-per-view buys across all global platforms. If true, it would make it the second most bought pay-per-view in brief history, behind only March's Revolution, which got 135,000.
Yes, and James...
Yeah, well, Rush, who signed to NJPW, was a shock competitor in the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing, but the Cruiserweight champ, well, the former one, has revealed he suffered a serious AC injury in that match. Is that a surprise, Dan? I mean, I know you're not been a biggest fan of Leo Rush throughout his career, but it's sad to see a guy's career end in this way, especially after he made his debut.
It is, yeah. Certainly a bit of make a shock return to, any company that would have him.
Without doubt, he's still a young man. So let's get on to Dynamite then. So the 4th of June, of course, it's Double or Nothing Fallout. I decided to give AEW Plus on Fight TV a go. It's a $5 a month, but you can watch it live and available to stream. I was using Sky, but Friday Dynamite said fucked the schedules up. So usually with a Wednesday Dynamite, it was available on Friday. The Friday Dynamite wasn't available to the following Wednesday, so then you're going a week behind. And the other thing about the Fight TV is that when they do picture-in-picture, because this is the thing in America that they do with the ad...
Running early action, Penta, Fear Factor, and Pac added the Black Arrow. But Matt broke up. Distraction by Brandon Cutler led to a roll-up on Pac, and a victory.
Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for Pac and Penta. I mean, they can have good matches all day, but they've always been the bridesmaid, really, Do you think this is the issue? Like, I know AEW's got a stacked talent roster, but Penta and Pac are just kind of going around in circles at this moment in time.
They are, yeah. They keep getting so close, but yet falling at the last hurdle and kind of going back to kind of building themselves up. Yeah, it's not really good to see. And kind of, are they better there than they were? They could have been anywhere else.
That's what I'm saying. It's with Pac, it's all well and good saying that he's, one of the best in the world. But if he's never getting the proper opportunity, then, come on now. But anyway, post-match, the Bucks attack Penta, tearing his mask off before setting up the BTE trigger. Eddie Kingston made, and as we see, the Bucks shtick is getting quite old.
Everyone else jumping on my Bucks again.
Well, I would say, I think the points you made in the previous episodes, Dan, I think has made me grown accustomed to it.
Is it like I've shattered it? Shattered the illusion?
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, I think you have a little bit. Well, commentary informs us that we're going to hear from Mark Henry after a break. So here we go. We're going to watch this right now. Tony Schiavone's in the ring to introduce the world's strongest man, Mark Henry.
I've got to say that Tony Schiavone's go old gracefully, my friend.
Do you think he's grey and he's doing a dye job as well?
Oh, 100%. Look, you can see it in the fringe. I mean, come with the greys in your beard.
Well, pesky greys, I have spoken about it on the podcast. So the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, getting introduced, Dan. Is this a big signing for AEW?
Somebody go get their wig split. I don't know what are they going to do with Mark Henry? Is he going to have a return to the ring? Is he going to say, no, I'm not going to ring, and then slam John Cena in the middle of the ring?
Well, this is the thing. Will he take out Tony Schiavone here, Mark Henry? He is looking well, though. We talk about you going to the gym. He has lost, I think he was saying, about 80 pounds. And when considering what he was to what he looks now, he looks in good shape. So what did Mark Henry say, Dan?
Well, he said he's not here to fix AEW. He's just here to turn the screen. And Tony asks him if he's going to wrestle. And he says right now, he's not going to say yes. Got a lot left in the tank.
Were you surprised by the positive fan reaction to him saying
that? What are we going to do? Have Mark Henry versus Sting in a Iron-Man ladder match or something? You know? Come on.
Oh, wait a minute. What's this, Dan?
Excuse me! Vicky Guerrero bringing her WWE shtick to AEW. I mean, classing up the joint.
Well, look at the negative reaction. She obviously the cougar. But
she's got the Karen haircut as well, hasn't she? She is sporting the Karen. Can I speak to the manager, please?
Well, she wants Mark Henry and Tony Schiavone to get out of the ring, and weirdly enough, they are.
And she's here to introduce a man who's won championships around the world, a third-generation wrestler, Andrade El Idolo. He's here.
Andrade is here in AEW.
We've got a 311 man repping the AEW.
Well, Dan, I know usually you're quite negative about certain things, but what do you think about Andrade in AEW?
Well, I've never, ever, ever agreed with Vicky Guerrero, but he is going to be the face of AEW.
Do you actually think that? Because, yeah. I mean, he comes out now, he's looking great. We know he's a good worker. Maybe his promos are lacking, but what do you think he can add, and what do you think he brings in?
I mean, he has got a lot of swagger. He can be, kind of like a Latino character that they can kind of Alberto El Patron cross Eddie Guerrero kind of character, like that kind of. And I think the man to pull it off is Andrade.
Oh, without a doubt. He gets on the mic and says he used to say that he's the face of Latinos, but today he's saying he will be the face of all elite wrestling. I mean, he looks really, really well, but is Vicky Guerrero the right one to introduce him to AEW?
Well, she knows a lot about Latino men. She's no stranger. To
be fair, she has got around, But I think the thing today is scheduled to face Kenny Omega at Triple Mania in August. They're both under the same banner now, which kind of makes it a bit less exciting maybe for that. But JR trying to pronounce Andrade sounding like he's having a stroke. Try and pronounce Andrade. I'll try and do it for Andrade El Idolo in JR's voice, Dan.
Oh my God, it's Andrade El Idolo!
Andrade Idolo. It's the same. Andrade Idolo. But Andrade is here, like I said, it is huge news for AEW as we go to a break.
Well, the Nightmare Family, Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson versus The Factory, Anthony Ogogo and...
Yeah, I mean, the action broke down. Aaron Solo provided a distraction and Ogogo delivered a knockout blow to Rhodes that allowed Marshall to score the win. This is 50-50 booking at its best, of course, Cody getting a win. And if Cody were Cena, this is his nexus, I would think would be fair to say.
Yeah. He's kind of trying to play the super Cody route. Do you think he's the man to pull it off?
He is the John Cena of AEW, I would argue. I mean, a lot of people talk about Kenny Omega, but I think if you look at face value and brand, and someone who doesn't maybe need a championship and is feuding with like wrestlers, I mean, the comparables maybe are there. We've talked about this before. Is this the right position for Cody to be with guys who are developmental, or does he deserve more? Or is it a case of then you'll turn around and go, well, look at Cody in the AEW World title picture?
Well, I think what Cody's doing is he wants that AEW. What he wants is he wants the fans to tell him he deserves. That's what he's playing. Please go for it, please. Jericho admitted
well, the Inner Circle never forgives, and the Inner Circle sure as hell never effing forgets, Jericho exclaimed to end the promo. Okay, so now it's time for single matches. Yay!
We get a best friends vignette where they accuse Kenny Omega of cheating Orange out of a...
Or cut to Don Callis' highlight package where an interview rolls up.
They blow off the best friends stuff and suggest that Jungle Boy diddle shot He's no man or jungle. He's a fun guy to cheer for, and Kenny loves his. And even
up next, Christian Cage and Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Private Party Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn.
Captain Charisma made the hot tag to exploded. Late in the match, Private Party tried, wiped out, and Jungle Boy forced Mark Quinn to tap out the babyface delight of the fans. As Cage left the ring, though,
yeah, so Jungle Boy has that star feel about him in this one. Of course, he's got a date with Kenny Omega coming out. This is a good match, but Dan, we are getting Christian versus Matt Hardy in 2021. What are your thoughts on that?
You can see the pinching of the nose ridge. Say it all. I mean, come on, AEW, at least come up with your own backstories in bandwagons of TLC matches from 20 years. Come on, guys.
Well, in a pre-tape segment, Team Taz addressed Hangman Page win over Brian Cage. Leader of the Black and Orange daring the anxious millennial cowboy to find a partner and face Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs.
Out in the ring, Tony Schiavone.
Allen looked like the weak link, even though he was the TNT champion for kind of quite a long time in history of AEW. And to talk about pushing new stars, you want a 61-year-old to look tougher than your new guy.
In the commercial, a promo.
Yeah, I mean, well, thanking Tony was a lovely little moment, but this was a bit weird. We know who the Hill Jobbers are, who are standing round the ring now as well.
Simple.
Up next, Red Velvet versus the Bunny, and the Canadian-born Hill dominated the action throughout the commercial break, but Velvet fought back in the match, leveled her with a spinning kick to the face, and earned the pinfall victory. This was like a Divas match from back in the day. Velvet nearly killing herself with a suicide dive as well. You know when the rest, I mean, shots is quite often, but when you actually, it's called a suicide dive for a reason, because you could literally die. So be very, very careful.
So do you think they're kind of showcasing a bit of, not showcasing the right women's action?
I think without doubt, I think there's talent there that can definitely have a show on, and instead you put something like that there. There's no doubt Red Velvet, has been positioned quite well, but again, they're still very, very underdeveloped, and that's what it is.
Well, commentary hypes up our next couple near over.
Yeah.
It's nice people can be...
Yeah, well, but the thing is about that is that it was going to be John Silver's title shot. But yeah, like I said, he gifted it to Evil Uno. So, I mean, with the rankings and everything, I know we've had trouble with that in the past, but we'll just let it slide for now. Dustin Rhodes made his entrance to send us to the break and lead the main event, which is Dustin Rhodes versus Nick Comoroto in a bull rope match.
So, what is a Nick?
Yeah, Nick Comoroto is part of the group opposing Cody at this moment in time, along with QT Marshall and those. Again, another guy, he's a big dude, a bit like, looks like Bruiser Brody, but again, that gimmick is not as fresh as it has been in the past, has it,
Well, anyway, Dustin rocked Comoroto with the cowbells. His ferocious opponent, Colton Gunn, arrived and kicked out the...
Late, Rose sent his opponent into exposed turnbuckle, delivered a bulldog from the top rope and used the ropes to help tie Comoroto up for the pinfall victory. I mean, this is not the main event of a Dynamite. Of Dark, maybe, but not of Dynamite. Did the camera fall on the outside? It looked that way at that point. JR saying bowling shoe ugly would probably sum it up. Not a great Dynamite, would be fair to say, Dan.
So the brother of the owner of the...
Yeah, see, I knew you'd get there, but exactly. What is the point of this then? Is it building up the young guys, or is it kind of, like I said, a bit of a surprise result?
So Mark Henry's kind of built up the fans. Sting's kind of looking at the strong link in his tag team partner. Matt Hardy versus Cage is going to be happening, and this, Dustin Rhodes.
But we look on the bright side, you see, because with every down we might get up again. We've still got Jungle Boy versus Kenny Omega to look forward to, so to speak. But we move on to our second episode of Dynamite, 11th of June. The show opens with the Pinnacle arriving at the venue in a limousine.
Yes, and Matt Hardy is in. He says Angelico will never...
Right, so our opening match is Angelico versus Christian Cage, and Angelico worked over the arm and the shoulder of his opponent in hopes of applying the Navarro death roll, collecting on Hardy's bounty. A resilient Cage fought back and finally downed his game opponent, finished him off with a kill switch for the hard-fought victory. Christian Cage picks up, another win, yeah.
Well, Hardy had further plans.
Yeah, I mean, this was a fun open. Like I said, Christian Cage getting the matches now and trying to pick up the victories. We've seen him in the past a few weeks now. And Jungle Boy making a save makes him feel like a big deal because, like you said, we know who Christian is, we know who Matt Hardy is, and now they stick this guy in there and say, right, no, this is one of them who's a star like them. Up next, and we get hype for Dynamite's real And, this is brilliant because Tony Schiavone in the ring talk about next week when Aaron Solo will team with QT Marshall against Cody Rhodes and his partner, his AEW debut, Dan. It's Brock Anderson. You just got to see how they do it. It's brilliant.
Brock Anderson.
What do you think of that announcement that Brock Anderson will be in action, Dan? It's huge, isn't it?
Bow, wow, wow. Well, here comes on Anderson's son.
Well, look, there's young Brock Anderson.
He looks like his dad, doesn't he? Fucking hell. He even dresses like his fucking dad.
He's definitely an Anderson, isn't he? There's no doubt about that.
Stick up them 4 fingers, son bitch. He's got the same...
Yep.
Wow.
That is Brock Anderson, Dan. I know you'd be happy about that. Well, Cody says Brock wasn't burned on third base, but he's going to still home plate and hit a home run every time out, and he wouldn't mind a modicum of revenge considering that last week he was beaten by Anthony Ogogo.
He's American. Well, this brings QT out to take it. Does Brock want pyro, or maybe he accuses Cody as like Comrade is what makes him Cody?
Well, go on, sorry.
Not the IW Cody's Brock takes one and breaks the reference.
Well, oh my God, Cody, what are you doing, man? Like teaming up with, don't get me wrong, teaming up with Brock Anderson is, it's just what the fuck. Anyway, up next, Death Triangle, Pac and Penta LM and Eddie King versus Elite, Brandon Cutler, Matt and Nick Jackson.
Well, Cutler, as expected, did not fare well as old by a well-timed dropkick by Matt to Pac, though allowed him.
Well, the Hills isolated the bastard throughout the break, but Pat's tag to Penta sparked a comeback. Kingston and Pac set aside their differences momentarily to wipe out the Hills. A back fist from Kingston to Cutler allowed Pac to cover the tracksuit wearing Lackey for the win.
Match, the Hills beat down until the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, a good match with the talent involved. It should be. And I'm liking Kaz at the moment. Like I said, ever since Crystal Daniels went away and Kaz saying that he's going to hunt down the Elite, we kind of mocked him at that time and going, well, what are you going to do? But showing up in this way, it's pretty cool. I will give the devil his due there.
The expense of the face of all Elite wrestling.
Yeah, I think
Elite.
Exactly. We get the Kenny Omega Orange Cassidy video package that he and Don Callis edited to send us to the break. Not bad, but the conspiracy is Sami Zayn's stuff. Thank you, please. Leave that alone. And back from commercial, the Pinnacle make their entrance.
FTR delivered a promo on Sean Spears, cut us. Wardlow accepted Jake Hager.
Well, Jericho and the Inner Circle interrupted via video from the parking lot where they demolished the Pinnacle's limousine, all while the Hills watched on helplessly from the squared circle. So yes, the feud continues and smashing up vehicles. I know what you're going to say.
The faces are smashing up the Hills while they watch on helplessly.
Yes.
After saying that, didn't Cody Rhodes make a point of saying that they're not bound by the ring ropes? They can exit the other show.
Yes.
And they stood on helplessly, unable to make their way to the back where their opponents were smashing up their cars.
Yes.
Man, that is fucking good telly. I've never seen shit like that before.
Well, back from commercial, Darby Allen and Sting respond to All Ego, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky's challenge. Allen said he's not replacing Sting. He wants a handicap match, and he asked Sting to respect his wishes and stay home. He said he's not stupid, and he wants to prove both of them that he doesn't need Sting.
Oh, they're sowing seeds of Sting versus Darby, the ultimate. Well, Sting says he's got nothing to prove, and he is who he is because he is. Sting says he's got nothing to prove, and he's who he is because he's Darby, not because... Allen asks him again, and Sting agrees, offering a fist bump. Darby hesitates and tells Sting how much he...
Well, even when they get a video package talking about how much winning the TNT title would mean to him, both because of his relationship with the late, great Brody Lee, and because of the road he's taken to the AEW. So, Evil Uno versus Miro for the TNT title right now. To be fair, AEW is doing that. Like, that's literally why Dark Order have been challenging for the TNT Championship recently, because they've been saying this. We talked about it before. Is it a case of, is it just remembering the memory of Brody Lee, because otherwise it would be forgotten about, or do you think they are taking advantage of it then? Because WWE have been accused of it in the past.
I think, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If WWE used of kind of exploiting the death of wrestling gain, I think AEW should be tarred with the same brush.
Yeah, well, fueled by his love for former champion Mr. Brody and determined to win the title in his name, Uno started fast, Miro Low halted his momentum and worked him over during the break.
Stu Grayson and Alan Angels checked on Uno the break, encouraging him to fight back. Uno did, rocking his opponent with other numerous Uno tries.
Well, this was an extended squash with Uno losing after dedicating to Mr. Brody Lee in front of the entire... There's one positive from this, and it is Miro is building momentum at this moment in time.
He is. Is it well-deserved momentum for Miro? Is this what the momentum he should have garnered from WWE?
What I'm hoping they do, and we discussed this in the last AEW one, is remember when Rusev first debuted in WWE as like the kind of dominant undefeated guy up until he faced John Cena and they kind of dropped the ball there. I'm hoping AEW are going to get him up to that point, and then I hope he doesn't lose to Cody Rhodes. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm hoping from that point, then they can build him to the... They're not doing anything that WWE hadn't done with him, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, and before we move on, because I'm going to forget about this, and I want to get... Miro, he's known as the best man, but wasn't that through like his previous angle, or is that the best man?
I think that's, yeah.
And Sean Spears, the chairman, he's kind of part of the four-horse, kind of not using chairs as much. Is he still the chairman?
Yeah, he's... I mean, a Double or Nothing, they had a fight in the chair room, and he's attacked Guevara with chairs in the past. So, but that's kind of like an albatross round his neck, because that is kind of what his gimmick is. With Miro, I think the best man, yeah, I think he's just taken it on himself, because the way he destroyed Kip Sabian and then said to him, I forgive you anyway. So the kind of way he did it was like, you know, a real fucking arseholey way of saying... And even when he came out to help Penelope Ford, like, passive, I'm still the best man type of thing. But maybe he can turn it to, like, the killer of men once he starts kind of building that momentum we're talking about, you know?
Well, let's hope. We get an Andrade vision promise.
Oh, Tony Schiavone's in the ring and he introduces Kenny Omega.
He runs Omega down for Dontel's Jungle Boy. He did a great job like a band.
Well, Kenny puts over Jungle Boy's underwear model-esque body and says he sees a lot of himself in him and respects him quite a bit, but there's something missing he can't quite put a finger on. He passes the mic to Callis to answer the question, to which he says, the guts to get in the ring.
Enter Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Omega says he looks like to say, but he doesn't have the guts. And what he asked Don, who's better on the mic than him before giving... Perry grabs the mic and tells him that he talks way too... Jungle Boy has him in a snare trap where the Young Bucks...
That's a different thing anyway. So I like to talk about the Bucks there making the save. And up next, Smart Mark Sterling is in a room with Jay Cargill. Dan, you are right. And he talks her up and says they're going to make her a household name across all media and puts her catchphrase, I'm that bitch, over as we go to a break.
Back from commercial, all ego, Ethan Page. Sky tells Darby they gave his child. Allen's done a lot of dumb things, but this ego says actions have consequences, and Darby the consequence, but has his.
Yeah, I mean, he's already accepted a handicap match against them, but bit by bit they're going to cut him down, raise themselves up as the men of the year.
Well, Lance Archer squashed, chanting him with the blackout in a...
And Ryan Nemeth calls Orange Cassidy out and they give him a spot in the Wingman Makeover program, and Cesar Bononi promises to rearrange his face.
And up next is Layla Hirsch.
Well, Rose overpowered her smaller opponent early, but the gutsy Hirsch stayed in the fight until later, where she focused on the arm-related beast, clearly looking for submission. She snowishly targets the limb before the action moved to the ropes.
There, Rose delivered on the top.
Yeah, I mean, this was okay, but Hirsch is tiny.
After the match, Tony Schiavone caught up with AEW, who claimed the title.
Yeah, and she says she was freaking furious with Nyla Rose for breaking up her cellar. Deep breath and realised that Nyla looked quite good flipping burgers, so maybe she should look into a new line of work. She runs her down for making short jokes about Leela, and then says the title makes Nyla, but she makes the title. Tony joined in with the hand signals when they go to DMD as well, which is just kind of like... I'm glad that Britt Baker's accepted Tony, otherwise it would be the weirdest thing on AEW. This kind of old man just kind of like fawning over this kind of young lady. Commentary arts up the announced matches for the next couple of weeks. We go to a break and then their
pot tag to Page Sparks to come back for Hangman teed off on Hobbs, giving way to some wild chaos. Hook hit the ring late and provided...
Yeah, so we're going to see that now. Brian Cage has had this problem with Team Taz recently where he wants to do it on his own. We see him come up short at AEW Double or Nothing after, asking, refusing help, and we can see Ricky Starks at ringside as well. We talked about Brian Cage a lot. I mean, Powerhouse Hobbs is a big guy as Hook comes into the ring now. Starks throwing the FTW title to Cage to use on Preston Vance.
Is it out? I'm sorry.
Ricky Starks, to the apron, who slaps Cage across the face. And what is going on with Team Taz there? He asked him to use the title belt. That's pissed Cage off. And now Cage looking to go after Starks. Starks is not happy. Now Vance trying to get Hobbs, but Hobbs just too big. He's not called Powerhouse for no fucking reason. It looks like Team Taz might be in trouble. Hobbs there, nice spine buster.
To Page with the save.
Well, Adam Page, we talk about building momentum with Miro. There's a guy who's in the past year or so have got all the momentum in the world, but he gets sent to the outside.
Oh, that takes place on or from the outside.
Dan, when it's Randy Orton, you don't throw stones in glass houses. No, okay, but the DDT to the apron as well. He's open there. Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, but he was thrown out of the ring to be. Oh, fuck off!
There you go, and RKO battling Randy Orton's buckshot lariat, and Adam Page and Preston 10 Vance get the victory over Powerhouse Hobbs. But the bigger deal, Dan, is the end, or what looks like the end of Team Taz there with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. What are your thoughts? I mean, Cage has come along the past 6 months under Team Taz. Is it too soon to kind of split them up? Or do you see Cage as a kind of babyface down the road, maybe a bit like Lance Archer?
To be honest...
No?
But in a wrestling... they are obviously trying to push Cage as kind of like a bigger deal, someone who's going to be bigger than Team Taz and someone who's going to clearly make it on his own and kind of put a face.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We see the Dark Order now celebrating... Of course, all of them -1 there as well, leading the celebrations.
So who's missing that?
So,
You said all of them -1.
No, -1 is Brody Lee's son. He's there with a mask.
So yeah, but who's missing it? You said they're all there -1.
We see John Silver as well, Preston 10 Vance, and Adam Page get the victory. And again, Page picking up another win. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens to Team Taz. I think it's maybe a bit too early for the split there, but they've obviously got an idea. But I don't think AEW really know how to use kind of... big powerhouses at this moment in time, but we're going to see with
Powerhouse Hobbs has no chance.
Well, exactly, but we're going to see we've got two powerhouses battling straight away in our opening match with Friday Night Dynamite. It's Jake Hager and Wardlow. It's an MMA rules steel cage match, or of course the Octagon set up here. We're going to have 3 5-minute rounds. So this is unlike anything that we've seen, of course, in AEW before. If we want to go back to WWE history, of course, we all know, we can say it off the top of our heads, the Lions Den match with Ken Shamrock against Owen Hart, first and foremost, and then later on against Steve Blackman as well, of course, held at SummerSlam. So we have seen this Octagon involved. Now, Dan, I know you're going to slate it. That's part of the reason why you're on here for. So what is your problem with them having a kind of MMA-style fight, especially with an Octagon, to start off Dynamite when it's between Wardlow and Jake Hager?
Because there's not a lot else they can do with these two big guys. You know, they're bowling a great display, kind of got some MMA training.
Well, he's unbeaten at this moment in time, Hager, but does that take away from it? Because you've got Hager who's a legitimate fighter, you've got Wardlow obviously with this, and then you're saying actually this is MMA rules, so what, this is real compared to everything else we're going to see on the show.
But is it real though?
Well, but that's what I'm saying. But is that what they're saying? This is what, you know, I'm trying to get into the mind of you. I'm trying to get into the kind of the negative realm of it.
Obviously, the way they're kind of entering in, putting them in putting the Vaseline above the eyes, and kind of like, you know, doing everything they would do to someone in a fight. I suppose it's kind of, they want you to feel.
That's what I'm saying, but is it, you know, just watch a UFC match, you know, rather than this? Like, if you want to see actual MMA, I know with like, and what's Wardlow going to do? He's never had a professional MMA fight in his life. And like I said, Hager has been trained for the past few years now, ever since kind of leaving WWE. It's an unfair advantage for Inner Circle. Look, Bellator 214, Hager getting a victory here. Look, this is real. Like, this is what he does. Like, and then you got Wardlow going to step in there.
Well, I'm sure, you know, these have been kind of training together, and Wardlow's kind of undergone some MMA training, hopefully, you would like to think.
Well, as I say, we've seen the highlights of Hager as well. A bit of a state there, but he managed to win his 250 fight. But maybe he'll come here with overconfidence. So what are your thoughts on the Inner Circle Pinnacle feud? Are you happy to watch, I say singles matches or tag team matches this year as well, to continue this feud?
But then what is kind of the goal? It's like neither of them has anything the other one. You know, they kind of, I know they both want to be the number one team in AEW, but to what extent? To what reward? You know, if they want to be the team, they need to kind of have some kind of a champion at least, you know, at least a tag team or a secondary title going about the group, at least in some kind of relevance and that, but just kind of, you know, here we've beaten you, so we're going to beat you here, then you're going to beat us there, and it's going to kind of go back and forth until what? Until it gets boring, and then, like, you know, they kind of move away from it and then bring it up a couple.
But this is what I'm saying, is it just an MJF and Chris Jericho problem? And they've made it into a group, like, you know what I mean? These two guys, the leaders, so to speak.
Is is his W name the Dapper?
What, Justin Roberts?
Justin Roberts. It came up, the Dapper Yapper, when it...
Yeah.
Right, okay. Dapper Yapper.
I'll try to remember what I was saying. MJF and Jericho is more of a single feud, and then they've both got gangs. But Jericho's obviously he's not a gang, is it? It's more of a group because you've got individuals there. Whereas you could argue the Pinnacle is more of a gang because MJF, after his problems with the Inner Circles, then recruited these guys. So MJF is the kind of lead, is the pinnacle of the group, so to speak, whereas Jericho shares it with the other five.
But Jericho's the spotlight. They come out to Jericho's theme. It's Jericho. Or Jericho.
But that's what I'm saying. And is it a case of us going, well, that's not right? Or is it what they were doing back in the day? You know, when Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair were having a feud, they would get a team and go into war games. Is this just kind of what we're seeing now? But what does it matter? Do you know what I mean? As I'm saying, like with the Undisputed Era, they were kind of feuding with this whole group of others. Individually, is this more like is this what they're trying to make it out now of like this means more personal now because 5 people got problem with 5 people as opposed to 1-on-1?
Well, to this it seems like the Pinnacle was the extent and purpose of the Inner Circle. So if the Inner Circle and for the Pinnacle they go after the Elite.
Well, I'm saying the FTR would just probably just go for tag team titles, wouldn't they? You know, like either with the Pinnacle or without the Pinnacle, the FTR would probably still be doing the same shit.
I thought that's
kind
what
of doing
FTR
now.
wanted was like their kind of ambition, and now their ambition is following MJF and Rico up to no extent.
Yeah, I know it's a bit weird. Right, so I want to get your thoughts on Wardlow because I don't know how much you have seen of him, but you know, we talk about a big guy and seen MJF's lackey. Is this a good time for him to kind of shine out? We've seen it before in other groups, you know.
He could have at least worn trunks. I mean, kind of got into the MMA fighting spirit without wearing.
But he's a big guy, and this is the potential now. We've seen it with groups before. You know, talk about Batista in Evolution or something like that. You know, big muscly guy. Maybe doesn't talk a lot. Gets a bit of personality because you know you've kind of got that hill there. I think there's a perfect time this year to say, right, what's the hype about? You know, you're sitting behind MJF for that amount of time. Now step forward and be seen. And also with Jake Hager. What's the potential for him? I know they're doing an MMA now, but can he branch out from that? Or is the Inner Circle's kind of highest he's going to get in AEW?
Are we going to get an AEW MMA?
Well, would that probably be the best for him, wouldn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? But what's there for Hager? Is he just Jericho's lackey and that's the best he can do?
I think that's kind of that's all we've been quite.
Really, you know, it's kind of like he has just stood behind Jericho's guy.
So basically, these two guys are exactly the same. They are the muscle men to Jericho and MJF, and it would basically be embarrassment to whoever the leader was, whoever'd lose. And you see a nice straight right hand there.
Huge right.
And Wardlow seemed to like it, though.
Well, you know, you don't know what kind of training Wardlow has had, MMA fighter, but to be holding his own so far as he gets a shot to the ribs.
Well, this is the thing. What is Hager going to do? If I was Hager in this one, I'd just try and get a takedown. You know, take him down to the ground. We've seen what his Bellator victories in the past have been mainly submission ones as well. Wardlow won't be able to fight against, and let's not forget about, I don't want to sound like JR here, but look at Jack Swagger, NCAA champion, you know what I mean? Like, he's had the experience there to wrestle, and now there we go, that's what we're going to look for, the double leg takedown.
Oh, wow, Wardlow just picking him up and throwing him off, though. And flexing, like Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Wardlow, like Brock Anderson, thank you very much for watching AEW. And a nice takedown there by Hager.
Like Jake Hager's got a cut elbow, though.
I guess if it goes the distance here with the 3 5-minute rounds, then a takedown is going to be very, very important later on in the match.
I haven't seen too much breathing.
But this is what worries me, is that Hager's an actual MMA fighter, so does he do these in real, like, you know what I mean? The condition of him shouldn't be too bad, but like you said, they're sweating bullets. I mean, probably doesn't help being in Daly's place where the temperatures are going to be high anyway. But even that, like I said, it's about strength and conditioning. And, you know, with Wardlow, he's got to survive 15 minutes here.
But then he's got to kind of get for what? Oh, well, he catches the leg of Hager and kind of palm strikes it. Got Hager backed up.
Well, I never thought to see that. Wardlow picking up Hager and dumping him down. And just swinging left and right. And he's looking to finish it, but again, when you talk about conditioning, might not play out later on. As Hager seems a little bit upset by that. Do you think he might have underestimated Wardlow a little bit coming into this matchup?
Well, I think he might. Seems a bit out of...
Aubrey Edwards got to be careful not to get clocked by these two big men. They're not going to hit each other for real, are they? You know what I mean?
But at least do something, you know.
Well, we see a Superman punch off the cage as Hager now getting chased down by Wardlow. Well, yeah, the working punches, aren't they? There's no doubt about that. As Hager now's just got to survive the last 5 seconds. And I tell you something, Dan, what are your round one thoughts there?
Yeah, in a match perspective, I think Wardlow's certainly kind of come out, especially the latter half of the Wardlow was definitely on top. Had Hager kind of backing off. Jake started off quite well, had a few downs, but I think kind of he has certainly caught Hager by surprise.
I think about Dan. I think we look in the corner as well. We see Jericho looking and maybe a little bit worried with Hager there. And I think with Wardlow, maybe it was a case that early on in the round, he felt Hager's power and thought, do you know what? That actually is not that bad. And I think maybe Hager felt Wardlow's and thought, actually, that is quite bad. I want to try and avoid that at all costs. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hager maybe trying for a couple of takedowns just to catch his breath up. Just try and wedge. Think about the arms now of Wardlow. He's been swinging really, really heavily as he coming out.
Straight towards Hager, but Hager moves out of the way and he's begging off the face.
Maybe, yeah. Looks like midsection. There we go, goes for the goal behind now. Nice. It'd be difficult to wrestle with as well. You talk about the sweat on each man's body, not being able to get a grip.
Wardlow trying to roll through, get an armbar or something.
He's got a bit of top control now, top mount.
Well, you called it right, James. They're both breathing heavily after the first round. Rested in this second round.
They are now, but Hager is in a horrible position right now.
But it's all right because Wardlow's jabs are really awful.
The only thing worse than Wardlow's jabs there is actual UFC punches. When anybody sees them. But that's a nice transition there by Wardlow.
Jake Hager's got his arms clasped together.
Oh my God, cross arm breaker was in for a second.
Hager
rolling round, yeah.
He had the leg hooked and everything in a match.
Well, this is the thing with Hager, the way he wrestles as well. It might be quite confusing just going from kind of the one sport to the other. As now Hager trying the arm.
Yeah, I'm sure the no boots and the big mitts and the huge cage around the outside makes it hard to comprehend.
Oh, no, not that, but just mentally. When you've got a guy with the arm under your neck and all of a sudden you're thinking, where am I? Do you know what I mean? Or what am I doing now?
Well, often when I'm playing golf, because I play cricket standing for a golf ball.
That's what I'm saying. So you're never sure. As Wardlow now with a power picking Hager up.
And yes, they have been cuddling for the past 2 minutes.
Well, I think if you look at it, you would say that Wardlow's had top control for maybe the past couple of minutes, with Hager trying to get out with a couple of desperation submissions. A bit like this one now as well. Got the ankle lock, and you will not see that in an MMA octagon or anything like that. But the ankle lock is in. Wardlow might have to tap here. Now managing to get out of it, and Hager just trying to get his bearings. And now going to put the leg up, but Wardlow catches him.
Straight up.
Well, half a powerbomb on it really is Wardlow now. Nice.
That was a la Ken Shamrock.
A la Ken Shamrock. And a spear. Well, Wardlow definitely bringing it.
3 swings and 3 misses though.
Oh, there you go. Triangle choke in. Wardlow got caught right into that. Hager now just trying to cut the oxygen off as Wardlow knows he's got to fight this.
Trying to wiggle his way out, but Hager just changes his position.
But Hager looks a bit shocked about Wardlow getting back up again.
And Wardlow managing to slide through, picks up Hager.
Hager manages to block it with the elbows, picks him up.
Rock bottom.
Well, with a minute left, you got a question. How much energy is left in both men? Yes, the submission's in, but after all the punishment Hager is taking, tick acid around the body.
He's telling Jericho he's number one as he passes out.
Wow, Wardlow put the finger up, but got taken out by the MMA fighter. I guess the right result there. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
The first round was quite good. The second round...
But what about the result?
The kind of what you'd expect, Jake, and I'm sure kind of taking down that AEW up that 100% pure worth.
Yeah, I think without doubt, I think it's quite a good opener. Like you said, Wardlow brought it in this one. You see what he was like in the first round. Of course, it wasn't going to be real strikes and everything like this, but I think a little bit of mutual respect there between the two. And of course, Hager getting the victory. He is MMA. It looks like they're going to maybe have a handshake now. No.
From behind, Jericho jumps in. His arms all bandaged up. We're going to see the pinnacle and the pinnace.
I think Dan may have had a stroke, but Jericho now fighting back with Wardlow as now the fight's carrying on inside this cage.
It's been turned into a tag team cage match, and MJF takes his scarf off, makes his way into the cage straight after Jericho.
Well, these two men absolutely hate each other, as now he's going to go targeting the elbow now.
Oh, exposing the injured arm. Just wrenching it back as Jericho taps out, but it's not a match, so there's nothing that can be done about it.
Well, Salt of the Earth armbar that MJF does is incredible. And
is that Malenko?
Dean Malenko's in the ring stopping MJF.
Oh, he knows 1,000 moves.
Of course.
1,001 moves.
Well,
1,000 moves.
let's not forget the Pinnacle taking out Dean Malenko just a couple of weeks ago before Double or Nothing. And MJF calmed himself down. He's not going to do anything to Malenko. Oh! You son of a bitch.
Well, that was one move Malenko wasn't prepared for.
My God, MJF knocking out Malenko. And now he's smirking, Dan.
No, James, he hasn't got a cigarette in his gob. He's got his face because he's the number one thing right now.
Well, my God, he is an absolute piece of shit as he's there taking out an old man.
Sammy.
Well, Guevara's not happy as he runs out, but Wardlow and MJF make their escape. And as you see here, it's a statement saying, yes, the Inner Circle may have won the battle, but the Pinnacle's still looking war here tonight.
So MJF and Wardlow just ran away from Sammy, and then Wardlow just said to Sammy, come on.
What? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. So what were you saying?
MJF
yeah.
and Wardlow ran away from Sammy Guervarra.
Yep.
And then stood at the top of the entrance, come on.
What a prick. They usually do stuff like that, don't they?
Arseholes.
Yeah. It's like those cunts, right, who fucking, you know, when they motion for the title belt. Never got a title belt, you prick. What are you talking about? Like, come on. Well, anyway, backstage, Frankie Kazarian, Eddie Kingston, and Penta El Zero M cut a promo. Kazarian said he's done being decent and he'll leave the Elite in a pile of their own despair. Eddie Kingston says they better pray and hope God takes their souls because they've got their asses as we go to a break.
Well, back from commercial, Team Taz are backstage. Taz tells Ricky Starks needs to end right now. And additionally, he challenges Hangman Adam Page to a match against Powerhouse Will Hobbs on next week's Saturday of Dynamite.
Yeah, and up next is Darby Allen versus the Men of the Year, All Ego, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky in a handicap match. So this is quite funny because, of course, Ethan Page left Impact Wrestling because he didn't want to be in a tag team to be put in a tag team with Scorpio Sky. But Darby Allen here, Dan, is he the... so, obviously, MJF, you're not a huge fan of MJF. Adam Page, you didn't show that much excitement for him there. What about Darby Allen? Who's, for you personally, who's the breakout star? Could it be Darby Allen for AEW? If not, what is your problem?
I don't know. It seems like they're putting him in a bit of a silly storyline, kind of like very predictable. You know, like Darby Allen's going to be the face in pair, come out, stand in his corner.
Well, no, they had the agreement, didn't they? Sting is not allowed to get involved in this. That's what Darby Allen was saying to me. He wants to prove that he doesn't need Sting in his corner to get the victory done. But do you think Sting being in the corner of Darby Allen has affected him then these past couple of months? Or do you think it's added it because you're kind of getting that rub?
I don't know, because kind of you're getting the rub, but when you link compared to a man who's kind of wasn't wrestling WWE for a few, you kind of, well, you know, you want to start questioning. It's like if someone tells me I'm in like slightly worse shape than Rick, start panicking, you know?
Well, it's the thing, but of course with the TNT title reign that Darby Allen has had, I don't mind the occasional matches with Sting, but like you say, you don't want to make it a thing of saying, oh, Allen needs to show that he's better than them, because I think when you're building stars like AEW are trying to do over the past couple of years, I think Darby Allen is probably up there with maybe even above Orange Cassidy with the kind of who they're trying to build up. You know, you've got Adam Page as well that you could argue with the kind of faces. We've seen Jungle Boy recently as well kind of making this through. You could argue on the heel side that usually they kind of rely on maybe older wrestlers or something like that to see. I mean, MJF's probably kind of the heel, you know, that we've got at the moment. But maybe Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky could do something, because obviously at the moment they're in a tag team match. There's no doubt Page has impressed me for what I've seen of him, but obviously the bar wasn't set that high. Whereas Scorpio Sky was one of the face of the Revolution, the ladder match, and then since then it's kind of been cutting ground. There's no doubt they're great talents, but I just worry at this moment in time, if, like we talked about earlier, just talent like Pac and Penta, just kind of going around in circles, you know?
Indeed, and with these guys, you know, like with Page and Scorpio Sky, it's like if you want to be billed as a strong, dominant, like, you know, kind of beating a man 2-on-1, well, like, you know, match goes.
This exactly, yeah.
You know, like, that's not going to build up their heel status strong. You want a heel to be dominant. The krypton, all this whole feud.
Yeah, I think I want to talk to you about Darby Allen's style, because I've had a few arguments with people about the past of it, and he said he's not going to have a long career just because of the risks that he takes in matches. Now, we've watched Jeff Hardy with career. We're old enough to see people like that. Is the chances that he's taken in the match and chances that he takes, are they worth it overall if he's going to end up in a wheelchair, in his 40s or something like this?
Well, it kind of depends how well you take your bumps. I mean, like with Mankind, for example, he's lost it to take some crazy as fuck. But that man's still walking, but you kind of take a pile drive, who's to argue one's worse than the other for you?
To be fair, yeah, but I mean, it's even like a couple of weeks ago, with Jericho taking that fall off the top of the cage, and the same episode, Darby getting thrown down the concrete steps. His coffin drop falling backwards onto the ring. We've seen the kind of power bombs in the body bags and stuff like that as well. I think sometimes it's a bump for bump take, and maybe I'm just different with Captain Mick Foley, because I look at his work a little bit differently, but I just worry sometimes, especially with this, like kind of young man like this who has got talent, like to be taking those risks. I don't know if it's worth it, and especially how much do you think Darby Allen is getting paid? What do you think his contract is? What do you think? Do you know what I'm saying? If he had a serious injury, like you talk about the next year or so, what's he going to do for the rest of his career? Is he going to be a commentator? Is he in Corey Graves? Like that's the risk and reward there, I think, for Darby Allen.
Yeah, I don't. Again, as you compared him to a Jeff Hardy, that's who I'd say he's most similar to. As kind of what takeaways does Jeff Hardy have from his career? His brief champion, was all them humps worth it?
You can't even
and then you see John Cena. I mean, the man barely got in rope, and he's won 16 championships.
The thing is, Jeff, he can't even get, so, and this is the thing, and with Darby, there's no doubt I enjoy watching Darby Allin wrestle, even now, we wouldn't be watching this match if it wasn't there's definitely something about him. He's got a different look, a different style than the most wrestlers that we've seen coming up, but I just worry for him that with the risks that he takes, but can he be? I mean, how far can he go in AEW with Darby Allin? Can he go all the way to the top?
Again, with him, I don't know, because you haven't really, you kind of seen him. Yeah, I'm gonna, he kind of got to a certain point, halted, went back. Is it kind of what, I only go to that special place when I need it, but you kind of need it in every match, be the best in every match. And,
yeah.
So it's to kind of know his ambitions as well. Because at the moment, he's just kind of like in a feud. Yeah.
So it's just like, it's like a crash test dummy, the way Page just picked up Darby and just threw him down. And he's been doing well in this matchup, there's no doubt. And now he may be bringing out the shenanigans.
Well, he's got some cable ties. He's just tied Page's feet together, thrown him out of the ring. Sky charges towards him with a roll-up.
Two. And now Darby turning it up again, looking for the Carter roll, but can't get the job done. Page is hog-tied at ringside.
Over the top stunner.
And now Darby might be looking to put Sky away. Going to go for the coffin drop. Talk about risk and reward.
Lands it.
There we go. 1, 2.
No. Despite having his feet tied together, Page manages to drag Allen out the ring.
Well, I'll be impressed with Page, especially like I said, when he Gorilla Press slammed Darby Allin into the front row at the pay-per-view as well. It was good to see that. But Page now maybe not playing anymore. And Allen's chance may be over in this matchup.
He takes bumps really well, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the way it is like a rag doll, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like he's got no care about his landing. He's like sent it to the ring post, but makes it look great.
But then, like, you kind of, I know you appreciate that kind of. You remember that Darby Allin? I was either going to take a beating well.
Yeah.
You don't want to remember him from Darby Allin. Yeah, the bloke against all odds.
But like I said, it's great building blocks for a babyface because, we talk about the greatest of all times. You have to feel sorry for them and you have to look like they're getting the shit kicked out of them. And there's something about Allin that, he is getting the shit kicked out of him. So I think that helps with the selling as well as Page looking to put things away. Of course, Page used to team up with Josh Alexander, someone who we saw on the Impact Wrestling podcast as well recently. Great talent, and Page trying to come out on his own. But Darby biting and clawing, scratching and fighting.
Headbutting. Page goes down, then goes up. Sky there for the save.
Well, Sky crotched him on top and now might put him in perfect position for the all-ego powerbomb. And he hits it. Darby into the cover. 1, 2, 3. Page and Sky win. Dan, what were your thoughts on the matchup and the finish of that?
The matchup, it was either going to be a Sting save, but Sting said is Darby going to go, well, why didn't you kind of, But, what's Darby actually getting out of it? What's he proved?
He's proved that he needs Sting in his corner. Like I said, when Sting is not there, Darby will lose in a 2-1 situation. But at least Sky and Paige win. But again, you could argue, that again, this is 50-50 booking from the pay-per-view loss to this to carry on the feud.
I suppose, yeah. But and on the finish, I think that all ego fucking doesn't even look pretty.
No, it looks pretty deadly. Anyway, back from commercial, we get an inset promo for the Wingmen when they complain about Orange Cassidy not texting them back about their offer to give him a makeover and make him pretty.
Up next is Cesar Bononi versus Orange. Diving DDT blocked. Satellite D chuck punch.
Yeah, the Orange Punch gets the victory there. Post-match, best friends do the snap zoom hug while Pretty Pete Avalon cradles Bononi and cries out to an uncaring god, "Why?" Well, this was fun, and the best friends t-shirt is actually quite cool. It looks like OC is moving on up.
Jungle Boy Jack Perry is interviewed backstage when Kenny Omega and Don Callis and why if Perry...
Yeah, he's packed a picnic with 2 knuckle sandwiches for Jungle Boy and he wants to fight right here. Perry says he'd rather beat him next week in the ring for the title. Omega sweetens the deal, first one's free, but as soon as he takes a shot, he'll be all over his ass. There's only one chance and Jack goes to pull his hair up when Michael Nakazawa attacks from behind with a laptop. Omega jumps Jungle Boy, they brawl, and we go to a break. This is the same stuff from Kenny Omega that we've seen for the past few months now. It's good from Jungle Boy, but does make the face look stupid when you know he is going to get attacked from behind.
Well, back from commercial, and the Hardy backs Matt Hardy in Cage. If he keeps Cage attacks him, but H him behind, Hardy wants to talk, and he's going to give Christian an out, retire, he'll pay him for it.
Yeah, so Matt Hardy wants Christian to retire, and he'll pay him a nice little severance package as well. Well, Cage attempts to open the door, but Matt says a little alone time will give him perspective, and he keeps coming after him. He's going to end his career permanently. Well, yeah, like we said, yeah, it's 2021, and we are getting Christian versus Matt Hardy, but right now, we're going to get the Factory, Aaron Solo and QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes, Anderson.
Well, this was given a lot, and back from commercial, and worked on. Gets away from Marshall. Solo runs it. Aaron has referee 2. Brock and Brock reverses.
Well, Rhodes with a tag power slam to Solo, bringing Marshall back in and hip tossing him across the ring. Flying head scissors and a clothesline sends QT to the floor. Block the low blow. Leg pick into the figure 4 leg lock, but Aaron gets the rope, sending Solo up top. Flip power drive on QT when he runs in. Aaron with a schoolboy and a handful of chunks, but it's not enough. Solo with a kick. Anderson breaks it up. Cody dives on QT. Aaron comes from behind on Brock, but gets double-legged, jackknife, and Brock Anderson picks up his very first win with Cody Rhodes against Aaron Solo. And, of course, then we see Aaron and Brock celebrate together. I mean, there's no other wrestlers that have both names, but other wrestlers are more famous. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, are we going to have Dusty Cena next? Like, how is that actually going to get to a level? Like, is there any other wrestler where it's like, right, no, well, Brock, there's a Lesnar, Anderson, you got, you're fucked, mate. You know, what else can we do, Dan, you know? Like, what else can it be? Like, you can't win there, can you? I was trying to think, like, call yourself Stone Cold Undertaker or something. No, mate, no, it ain't going to work for you. Yeah, exactly, Randy Austin. Well, the match itself was basic. This has felt like a development match. This stuff should be on dark. Cody, good, but just treading water. Brock did okay.
Up next, Jake the Snake Roberts and Lance Archer cut a promo. Jake says Lance isn't a doctor, but any patience.
Hey.
And what's he going to do? Bitch slap him and tell him Archer paces like a madman the entire time and roars at Robert.
Yeah, well, up next, Jim Ross, JR, sits down with Andrade El Idolo. Let's have a look.
You got it.
I'll say that in a minute. So what did Andrade say, Lendan?
You got it, man. You got it. Well, Andrade says he came. There are many, but he is He says he wants opportunities for both single titles here. And he's with Vicky Guerrero because she understands smart and they have a great but you need to wait because they have. Wow.
So, first and foremost, Dan, what surprise do you reckon it could be that they're going to have? Is it another person maybe coming along? Or what about someone like Zelina Vega? Eh? What about that, maybe? Or What did you think of the interview? Because his English was terrible. He's been in WWE for years as well, and it's so bad they actually had to subtitle it as well.
Yes, and I'm surprised they didn't subtitle JR's bit as well.
Hey, yeah. No, but seriously, what do you think of Andrade? Because he just looks like a star as well, doesn't
he? He certainly has that kind of, this would be a vignette kind of thing, he sat there, what's going to be very expensive whiskey. I'm sure if he had a fat Cuban in his fingers, they're tied back. He's a man that is, hopefully they kind of present him in the ring the way that they do with kind of like his promos, so to speak.
Yeah, I think without that. Well, back from commercial, the Dark Order and Hangman and Page are interviewed. Page accepts Will Hobbs' challenge, but said he's not concerned about that right now. He just wants to drink and hang out with friends. Asked about being number 2 contender in the world title. He says John Silver is almost healed up. 10 got the win last week. 5 got a new jacket. And even they gave a performance of a lifetime against Miro last week. So he wants to toast them. I love Page with the Dark Order. I think it just fits.
Yes. Are they kind of like, putting him in kind of...
Yeah, I mean, they've not officially said that, but they did a kind of thing where Page kind of like was protecting the Dark Order. So John Silver loves Adam Page, and the Dark Order have grown to love Page, and Page is kind of, I suppose it's like a rock and sock connection, but the sock is a whole group of men. Like that's the kind of what's going on at the moment. But it's good shit. And up next, Judy Hart versus Penelope Ford.
Back from commercial, back and forth, Ford with a lariat, Hart with a chest kicks, and Penelope cracks a fireman's carry gutbuster, follow up with a moonsault, off the ropes, the deathlock, bridging back
for the victory. In a post-match, Ford keeps hold on as long as she can until the Varsity Blondes break things up. Enter Miro. He asks where Kip Sabian is and promises Penelope Ford he'll fight for honour for dropping Griff Garrison with a lariat. Brian Pillman Jr. dives as they brawl until referees pull him apart. Miro breaks loose and charges in to restart the brawl. I thought this was a clever reminder of Kip Sabian because Dan, you asked about that earlier as well. The match was okay, but this was to set up Pillman versus Miro. Ford did impress with this one. It was after. Pillman is getting a little bit of momentum on his side as well.
He is getting a bit as well.
Yeah, the Varsity Blondes have been doing quite well. They've got more dark or kind of elevation type matches at this moment. But what I've seen on Dynamite, it's working really well. And they had the dark side of the ring about Brian Pillman a few weeks ago as well, talking about him. So that's kind of brought the Pillman family back into the limelight again as well, if you know what I mean. But it's interesting to see a building. Like I said, they need to build new stars. Yeah. So this is what they kind of have to look at.
Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is interviewed backstage by Tony. Guerrero rolls up, but she's not happy. Britt wants a match. Let her set up a match and Rebel.
Yeah, that match will happen on the next Wednesday Dynamite on June 30th, as well as Miro versus Brian Pillman Jr. and the MJF versus Sammy Guervarra. Both matches we will watch. And looks like Britt may be turning face in this one, of course, because Nyla and Vicky are really, really heels. And the commentary also runs down the next Saturday night card as well. Of course, that will be headlined by Jungle Boy versus Kenny Omega. We'll be getting a video package of dueling promos from FTR and Proud and Powerful, where FTR says PNP are but not, and that sends us to a break.
Back from commercial, we get a hype reel for AEW's touring plans for the fall. Smart Mark Sterling and Jade Cargill are backstage to talk about their monetization plan. They've partnered with the Toronto Four Seasons and they're accepting offers from other elite companies. Promo code ThatBitch. But they're also focused on pro wrestling, where Jade is undefeated and she's going to continue her win streak on the first episode of Rampage because she's that bitch.
Yeah, it looks like Jade will maybe be the heel threat for Britt Baker once that face turn happens. And then we get Eddie Kingston versus Frankie Kazarian and Penta El Zero versus the Elite, which is Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson and Matt Jackson. And this was a classic AEW Trios match with so much.
Eddie was targeted the majority, and towards the end, after tagging in Penta, Machine Gun with a jumping net breaker for separation tag to Doc. Good Brothers clear the apron. Double teams Jackson. Drops the big elbow. Penta kicks out. Anderson tags back in. Magic Killer denied when Kaz runs in. He passes Big Hoot the floor. He passes Big Boot to the floor. Super kick from Jackson. Kingston with a half Nelson suplex. Anderson with the sick kick. Drawing Penta up to whip the corner up and going into a lung blower. Going up top for the follow-up, Nick Jackson runs in with a cold spray machine gun off the top.
And then the gun stun from Carl Anderson on Penta gets the win. And the Elite celebrate on the stage. So Phoenix and Penta chose Pac over Kingston in the past, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That is understandable. I do like Kaz's new look and gimmick. Moxley has taken time off because him and Renee have had a baby now, a little baby girl. Congratulations there. Penta is great, but keeps bucks when again, or just a buck. It was a good main event to a good Dynamite. Our next episode is Saturday Night Dynamite, June 26th, of course, headlined by Omega versus Jungle.
Well, Saturday Night Dynamite kicks off with commentators throwing to a video from earlier in the day where Sean Spears ambushes Sammy Guervarra with a chair shot by a production truck, sticking up to his name, the chairman, I suppose.
Yeah.
Spears sarcastically wishes Sammy good luck in his next match. Good luck next week in his match AF. And then back inside Daily's place, Powerhouse Hobbs makes his way to the ring for his match against Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, and Hobbs focuses on the arm of his opponent, hoping to negate the buckshot lariat. Despite a laceration on the back of his head, Page fought back into the match, delivering a moonsault for close to two. He withstood attempted interference from Team Taz henchman Ricky Starks and Hook, as well as a spinebuster from Hobbs to deliver the Deadeye and score the pinfall victory. There is no doubt Adam Page has turned into Mr. Consistent. I remember the first time you and I saw him in AEW Pay-Per-View calls challenging for Chris Jericho 2 years ago, and we weren't sure about the character then, were we? And he's just like, for me personally, he's the kind of like the everyday man. There's something just likeable about Adam Page, and I think that's huge credit to the man himself.
Well, I think with Hangman Page, he's kind of been a staple in AEW, where kind of everyone else has been getting positive and negative feedback for what they're saying. Hangman Adam Page is just kind of like showing up, doing his thing. And, you know, he's been constant.
Yeah, I mean, AEW start the show strong, and of course the fan reaction. Hobbs is getting better. This was quite good stuff.
We now get a hype video from the AEW World Championship match between Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy later tonight. And then back from commercial with a Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler pre-taped promo. The Bucks run down all the prick teams they've beaten while explaining that Eddie Kingston and Penta will join the list next week. The Bucks will win because they are EVPs, and that is extremely violent people.
So they're even on the fact, because like we talked about before, the Bucks are only getting this because of their thing, and they're using the EVP now. Whether you love it or hate it, they can get underneath the skin. Back inside the venue, Tony Schiavone standing in the ring with Teddy Blanchett, and Conan, orderly!
Arriba la raza!
Makes his entrance for his face-to-face interview opposite Blanchard.
Well, Conan cuts a promo about his relationship with Santana and Ortiz, while Blanchard put over FTR. Just as it appeared, though, Proud and Powerful had joined in the ring, Blanchard threw to footage from the backstage area of Santana and Ortiz writhing in pain.
Yeah, so the competitors removed their masks, revealing themselves to be Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. They delivered a vicious spike pile drive on Conan and stood tall to close the segment. I can't believe fucking Conan is on TV at this time. But this was okay. The reveal of them not being Proud and Powerful standing behind him was all right, I suppose.
Well, yeah. Something a bit different, I suppose, sort of. When Martin enters the ring for his match, his entrance is interrupted by Vicky Guerrero, who introduces future AEW champion Andrade El Idolo. Vicky and Andrade are about to make a huge announcement, but Matt Sydal then makes his entrance because he's Dante's opponent. Andrade wants to take a shot at Sydal, but Vicky holds him back. Things are a bit tense, but Andrade and Vicky head to the back, and the scheduled match is on.
Yeah, so it looks like they're teasing something there, but we get Sydal, the seasoned veteran, grounded his young knees over. Martin fought back and delivered a double springboard moonsault for a near fall. He then landed a stunner that nearly earned the win, but Sydal absorbed it, fought back and delivered a lightning spiral for the pinfall victory. And it's JR made actually quite a good point in commentary saying Sydal is a 20-year vet. Dante Martin's only 20 years old.
Wow, yeah. Bit of a difference there.
You think about that. But it's a really fun match.
Yeah, Christian runs into Jungle Boy backstage and tells him, don't just be happy to have the title match with Omega. He should have a chip on his shoulder because so few people think he can actually defeat the champ. It's time to prove those people wrong, and Jungle Boy thanks Christian for the pep talk. And we go to break.
Well, back from break, and Mark Stern is backstage with Gerald Cargill, hyping up the sale of AEW shop while insulting Dark Order in the process and calling wrestling fans overweight.
That's an old school classic heel line, isn't it? You fat, useless, overweight people. Alex Marvez is in an interview with MJF, Wardlow and Sean Spears. MJF doesn't understand why so many people have a problem with his recent attack on Dean Malenko. Malenko is an old, sick man who has no place in a profession as dangerous as pro wrestling. So MJF should be thanked for giving Dean an early retirement.
Or Chris Jericho, Jake Hager jump into the picture for an attack, but the babyfaces are outnumbered 3-2 without Sammy Guervarra there. The 5-men brawl out to the ring where the numbers game is too much for the babyfaces to handle. MJF has Jericho trapped with Spears ready to destroy his arm with a chair. Out comes Sammy for the save. He lights up the heels and blasts Wardlow and Spears with a chair. MJF gets out of dodge before Guerrero can smash him next. Sammy grabs the mic, calls MJF an arsehole and a bitch, and vows to beat him on Wednesday. This was really good build for their matchup coming up on Dynamite.
And back from a break with a pre-tape promo from Miro hyping up next week's TNT Championship match against Brian Pillman Jr. He's going to murder the man, essentially.
Yeah, nice. Well, back in the ring, out comes the Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. It's time for Ethan Page to wrestle Bear Bronson, who's accompanied by Bear Boulder.
Bear or not. Bronson exploded through the ropes with a tope suicida, but the distraction from the official allowed Sky to interject himself into the match and seize control for Page. Despite a strong comeback late in the match, further interference from the former AEW Tag Champion allowed Ego to deliver a low blow, and finally, on his third try, the Ego's edge for the pinfall victory.
Well, after the match, Page reiterated his desire to be the nail in Darby Allen's coffin and challenged him to a coffin match on July 7th at Road Rage. And for a big man, quite impressive, but I think Page has been set up to lose here, but not a bad match, you know.
So a coffin match. Have we ever seen them before?
Well, we have probably seen coffin matches. I will, with Darby Allen, with the coffin drop as his finisher, I might just allow it. But if AEW fans start saying stuff, then, you know what I mean, we can always throw back.
Well, for a big man, he is impressive, and Page loves being set up to lose. Britt Baker and Rebel are backstage with a promo for next week's tag team match against Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose. Vicky and Nyla respond in kind. It sounds like Nyla's getting a title shot at Baker's AEW Women's Championship at Fyter Fest Night 2 on July 21st, and we go to a break.
Yeah, back from that, it's time for the Bunny with the Chris Statlander with Orange Cassidy.
Despite an attempt by Butcher to introduce Brass Knuckles to the match, Statlander caught Bunny with the Big Bang Theory. After the match, a sneak attack by Butcher, Jack Evans and Angelico led to a 3-on-1 beatdown of Cassidy. The heel stood tall to close out the segment.
Yeah, Bunny is a 16-year veteran. I was surprised when I got told this. This was okay. And backstage with a promo from QT Marshall, Cody Rhodes and QT will have a South Beach strap match at Road Rager on July 7th.
Pillman Jr. now cuts a quick pre-tape promo on Miro, hyping up their NXT title match next week. And the main event is coming up after the break.
Well, back from the break with another pre-tape promo, this time from Eddie Kingston and Penta, hyping up June's 30th title eliminate match against the Young Bucks. And then here comes Jungle Boy for the main event. He's accompanied by Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. Jungle Boy's family is sitting in the front row.
Omega is accompanied by Don Callis and the Good Brother. About 20 minutes remaining in the episode, but a 60-minute time limit. Schiavone says they will stick with the match no matter how long it takes.
So here we go. It's Kenny Omega again. Every time we seem to be doing a podcast together, Dan, we saw him defend the Impact World Heavyweight Championship against Moose on our last show. And this time putting the AEW World Heavyweight Championship on the line against Jungle Boy. First and foremost, to speak about Kenny Omega. I mean, that's quite impressive, isn't it? From company to company, defending the top titles in the matches. I mean, that is what makes a guy one of the best wrestlers in the world, surely.
Well, don't call me Shirley for starters, but it kind of, I think, especially with, like, you know, a few of the other titles, I think Kenny Omega should kind of focus on being the guy in AEW, because there are still a few other guys that I would rank higher than him in the kind of, like, I don't know, in the like impressive stakes kind of thing.
Is Omega maybe biting off more than he can chew? Like I said, in Impact, he's got his challenges like Moose, Sammy Callahan and people like that. Of course, we talk about in AEW, we know what he's going. He's facing Andrade for the AAA title coming up in August as well. So you've got to think maybe his mind might be off it. And especially in a match against a young man like Jungle Boy, is he going to take this threat as serious as he would if it was a John Moxley?
Well, a lot of people are saying he isn't taking it serious. A lot of people are saying that Jungle Boy doesn't kind of deserve to be there. And was it recently that Jungle Boy kind of was the first AEW wrestler to win 50 matches or something?
Yeah, well, that's coming up soon on the next episode. But like I said, right now, he's got to this point, of course, winning the battle royale to get to this moment to face Kenny Omega. And you can see even in the corner there, Omega kind of playing with Jungle Boy's hair. There's no doubt he's a star. One thing, though, that might change this matchup, as we just seen the referee do in the opening moments, is send Jurassic Express and the Good Brothers outside, send them away, so it is just basically a one-on-one matchup. Will that actually favour Jungle Boy? Because Kenny Omega, as we've seen recently, has been relying a lot on the shenanigans of outside interference.
He has been, but then can they guarantee that there's not going to be a kind of hidden show from someone later on?
Well, this is the problem. We had that last week, didn't we, in Impact, where we thought, Good Brothers aren't there, they can't make it, and the Bucks got involved. The thing is, Omega, and this is something that we've talked about, and I know you're quite a fan of as well, with a heel champion, sometimes you need to pick up victories on your own to prove that you are a great champion. You don't want to be a JBL of a world title, do you,
Absolutely not, no. But, you kind of... Again, I don't want to take anything away from Jungle Boy, but you need to kind of have Omega beating a huge... I know, Jungle Boy is huge in AEW, but I mean, have Omega beating a huge wrestler on his own without any help, without any interference, without any need for anything else.
Yeah. And I think we've seen that if we compare it to kind of Roman Reigns' title run, get the job done. But, I mean, go back to Jungle Boy, there's no doubt, the whole point of AEW was to build future stars, and we've talked about Sammy Guervarra, MJF. We're going to see these two guys face off in the next Dynamite, but Jungle Boy is the guy that may be underneath the radar of a lot of people, and even where he comes from and kind of who his dad is and all this lot was a bit of a surprise to some people who are finally learning about this young man. You can see he's a very impressive athlete.
Absolutely, yeah, he certainly does bring something to wrestling, and amongst all the gripes I do have for AEW, I think Jungle Boy is one of them things that I can say, well, he is a shining beacon. He is someone that could pretty much wrestle in any company.
Well, this is the thing, and of course, like I said, with his dad, Luke Perry, and what's interesting is he said that promos aren't really his thing. I mean, considering his dad was an actor, maybe it's something that he's gone away from, but of course his love has kind of never been doubted. You can see the guy's got, Jungle Boy is immense talent, a young man as well. Will he have to work on his look? I mean, like I said, he's still quite a small stature. I know maybe it's changed now from the kind of where it was. And is the Jungle Boy character a character that is going to get him to that next level, or will he have to maybe change it a little bit?
Again, what else can Jungle Boy bring to his character apart from heart, guts, determination, spirit, and kind of, the fan wanting? It's kind of like a young Jeff Hardy when he gained The Undertaker's respect. Because if Kenny Omega was actually a decent wrestler, he'd raise his Jungle Boy's hands, defeat or loss, and say, look, well done, mate, you've done well.
And I think that's an excellent point as well, because the thing is that we're not expecting a Jungle Boy victory, but in Kenny Omega's mind, and maybe a lot of people's mind, Jungle Boy can't even be on Omega's level in this matchup. And like you said, step up to elite competition to prove that you can go with them. Not even just winning, because that will come, like you say, through time. It's just prove that you can actually compete with the best in the world. And Jungle Boy, to do this, I think it might show us that, yeah, you know what, that is the future of the company.
Indeed, and honestly, it would give me a bit more respect for Kenny Omega to say, look, I'm a heel, I'm going to put that aside for the minute. You absolutely impressed me during this match. You impressed the fans. You kind of gave everything on the line, and you deserve my respect for that. Yeah. I think, that's probably the best thing you can take from this match, or you would be able to take from this match.
No, I think without doubt, and I think it's good that they can do that and put them into, Jungle Boy into a position where they go, right, okay, let's see where you can get to in a couple of years, and we like I said, with Dynamite, the problem is the reliance on the kind of WWE wrestlers, and these are two guys that have kind of never been in WWE, who are fighting for the top title, and it kind of makes sense. That's why I quite like Orange Cassidy as well, because it's something different that we've not seen kind of before, as opposed to a Christian versus a Kenny Omega match, which might be good, but there you go, you've got a guy who's a 25-year vet there.
But OC, he was kind of white hot, and, excuse me, but for the past few weeks, I've not really heard much. Well, for the past month or so, I've not really heard anything on Cassidy. Are they trying to, give him into the limelight, take him away for a little bit so you don't get kind of overexposed?
I think so, but I think the problem is, and like we see here with Jungle Boy as well, you go after you've been challenging for the top. And like I said, at the moment, Cassidy is Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny. That's who he's kind of feuding with. Is that a massive step down from where it was? Yes, but have they got kind of mid-level heels that they can fight with. Maybe Matt Hardy, you might count him, but again, there's another guy who, is in the latter part of his career. So it'd be interesting to see how they do. But there's no doubt Jungle Boy, he's just so impressive. I've never seen, he's crisp, and everything that he does is usually on point as well. For a young man to be able to do that.
But wouldn't you say kind of Jungle Boy is actually someone that you would love to see in NXT? I think with the amount of talent and the time that they give him, I think Jungle Boy in NXT would be absolutely amazing.
My only thing with that is personality-wise, and like I said, and the character, and he's not going to be doing 5 or 10 minute promos, is he? This is the thing of trying to get a character that actually works for him. I think maybe in AEW it might favour him more because they can just do more video packages or actually kind of get someone in to do the talking for him. But again, it's still a very, very young man. There's no doubt about it. This is just at his start of his career. There's no doubt,
But you could have him as like a Tarzan kind of character and go, me Jungle Boy, me wrestle.
But then again, when does that...
Swinging into the ring on a vine.
When does that exactly... They've got to be careful with the same thing with Orange Cassidy is when to become a comedy character as opposed to someone that could be taken serious in a certain moment. And I think that's what we've seen. Obviously, we laugh at Jungle Boy coming out here with like a dinosaur and stuff like this. But, what can he do to kind of take it to that next level and become a serious threat?
You've kind of also got his light, jolly entrance theme as well, so it's...
But that's added to it, Like I said, Jungle Boy, a few things have been added to it, like the entrance theme.
What keeps going on? Why does Kenny Omega keep having to cross Jungle Boy's leg when he goes for a superplex? It's twice I've seen it happen now, and I don't get it.
I think either Omega's working on that area there, or he just feels with the weight it's going to help him more, because obviously Omega doesn't usually go into many matches as the bigger man, and I think he's finding it here. I mean, you talk about the difference between different title defenses. Can you get any more difference between a Moose and a Jungle Boy in, like a couple of weeks?
Well, no, you certainly can't.
Well, Jungle Boy landed on his feet with a German suplex, but Superkick gets caught. The second one didn't, though. But a huge knee from Omega, and now we're going to see the Snapdragon. And now the V-trigger, and you see Omega just does what he does. People talk about, with John Cena with 5 moves. You see the V-trigger, you see the Snapdragon. It's coming. Now looking for the one-winged angel.
Well, Jungle into reverse Rana, planting Omega's head into the canvas.
And now can Jungle Boy take advantage? A clubbing blow from behind. Omega might be out here.
No, Omega getting his shoulder up at 2.
2. But Jungle Boy can't get frustrated. You talk about all the stuff we talked negative about Kenny Omega. There's no doubt that man is tough. So it's going to take a lot to take this title away. And then you start wondering if he does lose one of the championships, will the belt collector, will it finally break up for him?
Well, Omega with a ripcord knee to the jaw. We might find out.
And a powerbomb rolls him into it. Another V-trigger. And that might be it. 2.
No.
And again, Jungle Boy managing to kick out.
And
now it's telling a different story. Toughness. Omega getting frustrated. Even the slaps in the face. Telling him not worthy to be in the ring with me. Another V-trigger's going to get the job done.
No, Jungle Boy catches the knee, rolls through.
And now he's looking for the snare trap submission. He's beaten many an opponent with this. And he's got Kenny Omega in the middle of the ring.
So is that the STF?
Yeah, basically a version of it. He's been using it recently. Here come the Good Brothers.
The people who were kicked out of ringside have come back to ringside.
But again, Kaz, the elite hunter, coming out to stop things with Jurassic Express. Omega using his weight advantage to pull Jungle Boy. And you got to wonder if what was going on at ringside. Maybe put Jungle Boy off as he tries to bring Omega back in.
Omega looking for the big move to basically end it now.
And just trading in the middle of the ring. I mean, there's no doubt Kenny Omega will know he's been in the fight here tonight.
Is he going to be reluctant to go for the one-winged angel?
Well, the thing is, it's already been reversed, so it's all risk and reward for Kenny as another V-trigger.
Jungle Boy returns with a clothesline, though.
And I think the fans, you can see it ringside, starting to believe, but Omega reversing the suplex.
Oh, brainbuster suplex, that one. 2.
No, wait a minute. Jungle Boy just getting up there. And Omega calling for one more V-trigger to finish things off.
It's fucking annoying when wrestlers go for the same move over and over again, isn't it?
Well, he hit the V-trigger, now looking for the one-winged angel. But again, Jungle Boy reversing.
2.
Roll up.
No.
Oh.
Omega turns round, snare trap.
And the submission's in.
look on this snare trap, though. I think that looks quite cool.
But Omega went out the frying pan into the fire, desperately seeking. It looks like he might be passing out. And if Jungle Boy, I don't think anybody called Jungle Boy making Omega tap, but Omega using the hair. Well, the long hair, Jungle Boy there coming back to bite him, and Omega.
Is Omega looking to get disqualified? Does he not see confidence in himself?
Well, by any means necessary. We talked about that before.
Well, that's how he got the title, by hitting Moxley with a foreign object.
That's exactly where it all started from. He just flattens Jungle Boy.
Sends him face first into the top turnbuckle. Now Jungle Boy's laying prone on the second. Omega for V-trigger number 7,438 in the match.
And now picking him up.
Tiger Driver.
Beautiful.
98.
No, managed to get the shoulder up just. Omega can't believe it. Now he's going to take advantage again for the third time. Can he get Jungle Boy for the one-winged angel? And no man gets out of this.
1, 2, 3.
Kenny Omega is still your AEW World Champion. Jungle Boy's family, I mean, of course, they're upset he didn't win, but they've got to be proud of his effort there. Dan, what were your thoughts on Jungle Boy's efforts and the match itself?
I didn't think the match was too bad. I'm not going to kind of go out on that limb and say, oh, it's the best match I've seen this year, match of the year candidate. I definitely wouldn't say that. I did admire Jungle Boy's heart and determination. I think going against a different opponent, it would have made Jungle Boy look a lot better if he was going against a Chris Jericho or John Moxley in that kind of same situation. I didn't think Kenny Omega done Jungle Boy too much justice in this match. The fact that he managed to win a match seemingly kind of on his own, you know, there was a bit of outside distraction. It kind of goes to show he might be able to do things like that in the future as well.
Well, there's no doubt Omega sees Jungle Boy as a threat because he's just going to hit him with a title belt, and then here comes Christian trying to even the odds, and Kenny getting out of harm's way, and of course Christian Jungle Boy.
So you've got an Elite Hunter which is going after Omega. You've got Jungle Boy and you've got Luchasaurus or...
Well, wait a minute. Well, Matt Hardy's family's just come from ringside as well. And, of course, they've been involved with Christian in recent times, Matt Hardy. And we talked about the need for maybe being heels, and this might be the next step. Are we going to see another twist of fate on Christian?
No, turn it round to a kill switch attempt, but the Young Bucks are in. Super kicks.
And who would have thought the Young Bucks saving Matt Hardy? But that's exactly what they've done. And this unholy alliance seems to be standing tall. Hook or by crook, Kenny Omega.
What was Taz's son in this match as well?
He can make friends here. You know, you talk about the Bucks, you talk about the Matt Hardy family as well. Kenny comes out on top, but there's no doubt Jungle Boy gave absolutely everything as Christian gets hit by a twist of fate. And that is it for Dynamite. Another good episode of Dynamite, and Kenny Omega standing tall. Well, after Dynamite went off Saturday night, Eddie Kingston stepped into the ring to cut a promo about WWE. Speak to the live crowd. He said he was burning another bridge in reference to what he was going to say about WWE.
Ladies and gentlemen, AEW cares about their fans because we are not just here to get ourselves a paycheck. We are here every week with you people, without you people, and we come out here and we bust our asses. We love professional wrestling. You saw a match between Kenny Omega and my dude Jungle Boy. That you will not see on the other channel. You will not see legends who are respected on the other channel. You will not see people like me and my best friend Penta on the other channel. And you will not see the heart that everybody in the locker room has on the other channel.
Right. So, Dan, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know you love hating AEW, and Eddie Kingston's just come for you, mate. So, go on.
Well, it's... I don't want to kind of jump in because obviously I'll see who's responded next. And I actually do respect that man's words, what Bully Ray said about it. And
Well, Bully Ray wasn't happy, but he did preface his criticism by hailing Kingston as one of the best promos in the game. And he said, Eddie just needs to shut the fuck up and stay in his lane of AEW guys speaking about AEW and flying the flag for them. And I'm completely on board. Tell me how great they are. Fly the flag for your company. Show me you wear your heart on your sleeve. You were an indie guy for the majority of your career until AEW took a chance on you. You learn to love it and everything about it. Don't take the easy way out and knock three. If Cody wants to draw a throne, I get it. If Jericho wants to say F you, I get it. But Eddie, why? There's no reason to say such stuff. If you go back and listen to the fans, it really didn't pop that hard when he took a jab at WWE. You didn't get the reaction you were looking for. People most likely thinking, all right, Eddie, stay away from that. There's no reason to go there.
basically, yeah, he sums up my thoughts exactly. It's like, Eddie, you've never wrestled for WWE, so why take a pop? If Cody does, he knows what it's like inside there. Chris Jericho, he knows what it's like over there. But it just seems like Vince McMahon is living rent-free in every AEW wrestler's and fans' head. It's like you don't see Vince saying, right, Roman, I want you to go out there, cut a promo on your next match against Kofi, but I want you to rip the shit out of AEW wrestling. They don't go out there. Vince McMahon probably doesn't care about this promo one bit. All he thinks is, I'm just leaving rent-free in all their heads.
Yeah, without a shadow over that. Well, we move on to of Dynamite, June 30th. Of course, it's Miro versus Brian Pillman, and the main event is MJF versus Sammy Guervarra. The show opens with Chris Jericho making his entrance to join the commentary team tonight. And the opening match is Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero versus the Young Bucks.
A super kick by Nick on the arena floor, though, allowed Bucks to regain the upper hand. Penta tagged back into the match and uncorked a flurry of offense that included a corkscrew sunset. The Bucks answered, scoring a serious close near fall, broken up only after a last-second lunge. The Good Brothers attempted a distraction, but Brandon Cutler accidentally sprayed Matt in the eyes. Frankie Kazarian wiped the heels out, and the babyface scored the win.
Yeah, great moustaches from the Bucks. They really are winding everybody up as much as they can with the moustaches now. But the fucking ribbons. I mean, it just didn't tidy in ring properly. And then the ref got caught up in the ribbon. And then he finally pulled it out. It sat there for ages, getting on my nerves. But there was also a match, of course. Really good stuff. Nice and long. But Eddie and Penta aren't the right team to take the gold from the Bucks. But they did busted their guts here as well. And of course, I like Kaz's involvement. The commentary hypes up the rest of the show. And Jericho was excellent on commentary for that first match.
Christian Cage is backstage telling Jungle Boy how proud everyone is of him and that he can take something from this loss. He can be better than ever and someday he's going to be world champ. But tonight could be the first AEW wrestler to make it to 50 wins. So tonight, go out there and make some history. Luchasaurus rolls up with Marco Stunt and thanks Christian for having Jungle Boy's back while he was out, and dinosaurs are very loyal, so he's got Cage's back now too. Christian admits to being a quarter of a Cosmoceratops on his mother's side, and the two walk off chatting enthusiastics to break.
Yeah, luckily Luchasaurus' mother is exactly the same as well. Back from commercial, we get Tony Schiavone, and he has All Ego Ethan Page, accompanied by Scorpio Sky in the ring, to interview him.
Page says he hasn't been doing enough, and his goal is to beat Darby Allen, but to exterminate Darby Allen. Nobody has tried to cripple him more than he, and no matter where he throws him, what he does, where he does it, he keeps ticking. So the coffin match is meant to cripple Allen mentally. He's going to beat him in this coffin match, and when he does, every time he goes up for the coffin drop, he's going to think laying him in the coffin and closing it shut on his confidence forever.
Yeah, Ethan sounded like Kermit when he first started doing his promo. He's like,
Hey,
I'm going to beat Darby Allen. And then when he started turning it like, and he got into it, and you looked at his eyes, it was a good promo in the end. But right at the start, he's really, really Kermit. But enter Sting, wheeling their coughing out on stage, and Darby is in said coffin. Sting takes Scorpio out with a Scorpion Death Drop, and Allen claws at Page's eyes, his fingernails long and polished. All Ego says Darby knows he can't beat it 100%. He's off. And maybe if he behaves, he can have the match at Fyter Fest. So people who bought tickets for Road Rage to see the coffin match are not actually going to get it now either. Our next match is Jack Evans versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
So this is the Battle of the Jacks.
Battle of the Jacks.
The former top contender withstood the offence of his opponent, fought back and turned him inside out of a massive lariat coming out of the break. Eventually, Jungle Boy put Evans away and became the first performer to reach 50 wins in AEW. Match Hardy family office made its way to the ring, only for Jurassic Express and Christian Cage to make the save and clear them out.
Yeah, this was okay, but felt like a step down for being in the title picture. And, of course, a feud with Hardy families next. We talked about Orange Cassidy, and, of course, because of the mid-card heels, you're kind of having to go... not against jobbers as such, but you know what I'm trying to say. And then Maxwell Jacob Friedman cuts a promo. He talks about how he's defined Christopher Jericho as the king of AEW. You think you throw the towel and quit when you're bested, but instead he turns his own perverted Looney Tunes. This is the best he can come up with. How long exactly is he how low is he willing to stoop?
Well, we're going to find out next week when MJF reveals his stipulations for one last match against him, and all he requests is that if he makes it through his stipulations, which he won't, is that once he beats him, he leaves him alone. On to Sammy Guervarra. Fans want to see this match because they want to know what the future of AEW is.
Yeah, and after their match, they're going to say Sammy is the future, but it's going to be clear that Max is the now. And Jericho commentary saying he's going to accept any stipulation short of getting run over a truck as we go to a break.
Well, back from commercial, and Andrade El Idolo is interviewed backstage. He says he has a great announcement, but Matt Sydal, whose name he can't remember, interrupted him, and he wants to make an example of him in a match in Miami at Road Rager.
So Andrade's first match will be next week on Dynamite. Tony Schiavone's in the ring to interview Kenny Omega, and Kenny boasted about his win Saturday and claimed he had no challenges left during the era of the Dark Order. Omega scoffed at the idea of any one of them challenging him during chants of cowboy shit from the fans in reference to Hangman Page. Omega said Page doesn't have the right to hoist the title, all guts to beat him, and ended the promo with goodbye and good night bang in typical cleaner fashion. Setting up the inevitable here. Page is the man to take the top. Kenny Omega, we have known that since Page fell to Jericho 2 years ago, and since, of course, he's lost there. But one of the things that annoyed you, Dan, was the nice chops from Kenny Omega, because well, go on.
Well, I sent you a picture of Kenny Omega out to the ring, and he is resembling a 2005-2006 Triple H. You know, with the exact kind of sideburns going into the moustache kind of combo.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pictures like that as well. Yeah, I mean, people like Ollie Anderson, of course, Harley Race have had the chops, but I think that would be more up to date. And Kenny Omega, and the way the Bucks are doing it at the moment, they might be doing that just to have a pop.
Is it doing it just
yeah, it's just doing it to do it, I think, at the moment. I might be wrong, but I think it is just to have a pop when he can.
Well, back from commercial, we see a Brian Pillman Jr. promo from earlier
today. He talks about how growing up he had good friends and teammates who believed in him, and Griff Garrison is like a brother to him. So when Miro laid hands on him, he made this real personal, and it's more than a title match. It's Pillman proving that Miro is nothing but a bully, a big Bulgarian bitch.
Yeah, so good on Pillman for saying that just before his match for the TNT Championship against Miro. He, like we talked about before, it may be the bravest man in AEW or the stupidest, but Miro, we talked about changing from best friend to God's champion. He looks really motivated, and Brian Pillman, of course, has had a lot of hype about him recently. We talked about him before, talked about future stars, and Pillman has definitely got something about him. What are your thoughts on Pillman, just looking at him firsthand?
Oh, that mullet does my head in. I mean, it's so 1980s, isn't it?
It is proper, like, he is homaging his dad, Flying Brian Pillman with that.
I wonder where that name came from. I didn't want to assume that he was his son, being Flying Brian Pillman Jr. or anything.
But this is the thing, and this is what Flying Brian. This is not loose cannon. This is when he first come on. The matches we saw on Nitro against Jushin Thunder Liger, against Tiger Mask and all these kind of great stuff. This is what Pillman kind of wants to emulate, because we know, obviously, about Pillman and what happened, the tragedy of the family. And this young man didn't grow up with a father,
But because Pillman's had such a tragic family, can you not say, are you allowed to say that he's crap? Are you allowed to say that he's not kind of progressing well? Or because he's had tragedy, you can't say that?
No, because a part of the Varsity Blondes with Griff Garrison. Now, Garrison's a guy that I'm not 100% sure of, and I think Pillman is the one that's going to break off. But obviously, I don't want to do a WWE and just break up every fucking tag team just for no reason. But I think when you look at him, I think the selling's quite well, and what I've seen of him as well, you kind of get that feeling, a bit like Jungle Boy. And I think AEW have got a few talented young guys that can really make a break. And I think on the other end of the scale, you've got someone like Miro, who we talked about on the last Dynamite, a couple of Dynamites ago, being in the same position he was when he was kind of undefeatable in WWE at this moment,
Well, could you argue that Miro has had more exposure to American wrestling fans than Omega has?
You definitely would, yeah, without a doubt.
Obviously, pre-AEW.
Yeah, without a doubt. This is the thing with Omega of maybe not a lot of people knowing what Miro, exactly. The whole point of him being here, not just because he's a great athlete in that, because people go, oh, that's Rusev. And that's the whole point of you trying to watch it. And now this is what we're talking about with Miro. Where can he go from here? He's got a challenge with Pillman. And a bit like Omega and Jungle Boy matchup, it's a guy who Miro thinks he's going to kill him. So this is about Pillman managing to step up to the challenge. Not necessarily, like to say, winning, but, just proving that he belongs.
Well, do you think they've already kind of done this really recently, like a challenger stepping up to prove he belongs there? I mean,
I think
or is it like, oh yeah, well we're doing it with the World Championship, we might as well do it with a TNT Championship as well.
I think the TNT title, I mean, because like I said, they're more of a tag team. You know, Pillman will go back to being a Blondes. He's annoyed Miro's taking out his tag team partner, so kind of is a story to it as well. Is there similarities? I think definitely, but I think it's good to see young stars. I think we've moaned and pissed about it for so long, especially with WWE not building new stars, and now we're seeing, you know, so we've seen Jungle Boy. The main event is, of course, like we said, MJF and Sammy Guervarra, which are young guys, and of course Pillman involved here. So it is good to see. Yeah, we know they're probably not going to come out on top, but it's nice to be different. And I think this is what we've seen with AEW when it works well. You know, you can bash it all you want, but this is it when it's actually working quite well at this moment in time, you know?
Well, if you're going to do it, at least give Brian Pillman the victory.
We'll see if he can come out on top here. You know, he's fighting from the bottom, so to speak, but...
The springboard to a clothesline takes Miro down, but I think it's only a 1 count.
One. I think the one surprise, especially with Miro, even in AEW, wherever it is, or just how big that guy is. I think we knew how, you know, as in body weight, size. We knew he was a big guy in WWE, but honestly...
I think it's because he's so broad on his shoulders. Like, he's not up there with the rhinos, you know.
No,
he's nowhere near a rhino status, but he has got broad shoulders, so that's for sure.
Well, Miro's going for that match kick, and Pillman managed to block it, hit 3 super kicks. Can he hit the fourth and maybe finish things off now? No, he gets caught, and his head gets knocked off. And Miro's eyes, oh God, he's got the crazy eyes now. This is
crazy
eyes! This is not going to be good for Pillman.
The matchka kick, or the best man kick.
Or the God's Champion's boot. Maybe what they're going to call it as he's building up momentum, and I think we know what's going to happen now.
Do you think Miro/Rusev will ever be able to build up to his Rusev Day kind of amount of hype?
I think this is what we're seeing now. I think as he calls game over and he's got Pillman, you think about this matchup what we just talked about and how dominant Miro's basically been in this matchup, how dominant he's been since being TNT champion. I mean, all credit to Pillman. Pillman's out. And as a proper guy as well, didn't tap, passed out, so credit to him. But that is Miro dominant. And like you said, they're getting to a point now where they're building them up, and let's hope they don't drop the ball like WWE done. What were your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I thought, you know, it was obviously a very dominating display by Miro. Pillman certainly doesn't get the champ's respect after this match, that's for sure. It was a complete polarising kind of having a future star, you know, someone like Junior kind of going against Miro. This is more of a squash match as opposed to Kenny Omega's kind of slightly drawn out match with Jungle Boy.
Yeah,
it still wasn't bad though.
Well, without doubt, you know, like I said, it's given us something a little bit different. Well, the Dark Order backstage with Hangman Adam Page storms in. He yells at them for making a stupid challenge, but Colt Cabana tells him he's just afraid of failure. And if he needs to know he can do this, they give him a further pep talk and tell him they believe him. As they all walk by him, they all say, "You can do this. You know you can do this." And like, step up. And I just thought it was lovely. And it's saying that, you know, Page, and that even look when they walked off and Page just looked at him with that bit of the drink in his hand of like, yeah, maybe I can do this, you know, and that's what we want.
We get back from commercial and we get footage of Team Taz backstage. Taz admits that things are in disarray with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. Not here. It's been toxic for Team Taz. Hook says he's tired of this and Hobbs says someone needs to figure this out. On July 14th, Cage will defend the FTW Championship against the medically cleared Starks.
Well, up next, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD and Rebby versus Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero. The top-ranked women's competitor and a manager worked over Rebel into a hot tag to Baker, put the opposition in the driver's seat, despite a late attempt by Rose to finish off the champion. The ill-timed tag to Guerrero proved costly as Baker applied the lockjaw to the loud-mouthed manager and scored the submission. After the match, Rose attacked Baker and drove her through a table from the ring apron for tall. Rebel suffered a separated kneecap in this matchup, which sounds terrible. But why have Vicky wrestle? You know, all this thing about, oh, let's, you know, future stars and all this kind of stuff. And then Vicky Guerrero there. Why couldn't she just been a manager for any other woman wrestler to take her spot in that matchup?
Indeed, yes. But, you know, this is AEW, and as it's been said before, they don't really care about their women's wrestling.
Well, this was okay, but Rose is just not a threat.
Well, commentary hypes up the next couple of weeks' worth of matches for us. Jake Hager, Ortiz and Santana cut a promo from a stairwell. They point out that every time they fight, the Pinnacle gets their asses whipped. Hager points out that Wardlow took his loss well, and then his buddies had to jump in, and MJF laid Dean Malenko out. Santana says when they finally meet head-to-head, they better bring all the fight they can, and since Tully Blanchard is going to be in FTR's corner, best believe Conan will be in theirs.
Oh, I can't wait. So the main event now, Maxwell Jacob, Sammy Guervarra. Luckily, obviously, because I'm watching a fight, with the ad breaks, we managed to watch it, and MJF did a proper fucking heel he was calling them all pieces of shit, giving them the finger and trying to roll up the audience before Guevara made his entrance. And as the match starts, you can see MJF getting out of harm's way. Dan, I know you're AEW's harshest critic, but is this the future of the company right here?
I don't like MJF, and it's not, oh yeah, you're not supposed to like him, he's a heel. I just think the bloke is a dick. And not for the sake of being a dick and a heel, but I just think the bloke generally is a dick. Sammy Guervarra, though, I wasn't keen on him to start off with. He's starting to kind of soften on me. I think he's got a bit of something. I'm not sure what it is, but he's fucking awful on the mic and can't say a word together, string two words together. No, I can, but...
yeah, you're smooth. But he's had only 2 matches this year. He won the Stadium Stampede for the Inner Circle, so it'd be interesting to see what Guevara does. There's no doubt he's a good talent, but when he's not wrestling that consistent. For MJF, my only issue with him, I like him, but you know when the hype train... And you know when a wrestler is just too hyped, I think this has happened
They want you to like him. But
this is the thing. But people will argue that, oh, well, he's a heel in your eyes. But the thing is, explain. So if you're in a crowd and MJF makes his entrance, what do you do?
Nothing.
Right, okay.
I Enzo it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you need to explain. Because people will go, well, when you're there in the
crowd...
I
don't boo him, I nothing him.
Yeah, you nothing him. And that's what, no reaction is worse than any reaction, negative or positive, without doubt. I think with MJF, it's like Velveteen Dream. For years, we're going, look at this guy. He's going to be a future star. You can't do anything with him. You need to kind of build it up. And is the Pinnacle, are they going to be remembered in 10 years' time? Or is this just a story for now? This is the question. Is it just a vehicle to carry MJF to a certain point? And what is the end goal? Is it MJF being champion?
Well, I think all this is set up is to kind of further extend a feud between MJF and Jericho. They've had him attempt to join the Inner Circle, disband it from the inside. That didn't work. They've kind of own stable to go against Jericho and the Inner Circle. And then once that's over, what's going to happen with MJF? Are they still going to be knocking around with Spears and FTR? Are they still going to be doing what they're doing? Or is it, are they going to go against the Hardy? You don't know.
No, but if they do like an Undisputed Era thing, right? So the Pinnacle have to win all the gold. Yeah. So at the moment, the tag title's on the Young Bucks. That's a heel tag team, so you can't go to the Revival from there, can you? No. Unless you turn the face. Sean Spears is on the level of... he would get murdered by Miro if it was for the TNT Championship like that as well.
And the FTR Championship if we're going on the...
That's what you say, titles. Brian Cage and stuff like that as well. And then you've got the World Championship, which we think is Page versus Omega. So you're going to have Page win and then drop the title, the next pay-per-view to MJF. So after all this 2-year build-up, it's a 3-month title reign. And then the question is, kind of what they do from there. If Jericho beats Omega, it doesn't make any sense either. So, like I said, we're getting this matchup, but already, as we've seen early on the show, they're setting up MJF versus Jericho again with massive stipulations.
Indeed. And is that something you want to see again?
Well, this is the thing. They're repeating matches. And again, we're getting, like I said, the tag titles on the line next week, exactly the same as the match from this week. And AEW say, we don't repeat matches. How many times are we going to see MJF versus Jericho? How many times are we going to see...
Well, we see Inner Circle versus the Elite. That kind of finished at Stadium Stampede, didn't it?
Yeah.
We kind of hoped this would have finished at Stadium Stampede, but it didn't. They've obviously got, right, what's next for MJF? Nothing. Let's put him in another feud. Yeah, let's go for something different. Let's have him against Jericho.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. And when we've seen everything that's happened... What are they fighting over? If it's just like personal animosity, but then you've got 4 other guys in the group fighting over just 2 guys not liking each other.
Yeah, they're fighting other people's feuds now. It's like you hating someone because you don't like them.
The thing is, right, so go back to like DX versus the Nation, right? So you had Rock and Triple H who were feuding over like the Intercontinental title, but at the same time you had D-Lo and X-Pac over like the European Championship. You had the kind of, the tag teams, Godfather and Mark Henry against the Outlaws, whoever it was. Yeah. So it kind of made sense in that way. It wasn't just fighting it because I don't like this guy, so we're fighting them over it. It's the whole crew have got to have problems with each other.
Yeah, you've got something we want.
Yeah, this is
and
the thing,
no one has any team wants.
Well, just to end them. But then again, if only been, like I said already, they're going, MJF wants to be left alone by Chris Jericho. So you think, so what they're going to do then? Just leave that alone for 3 months and then, Jericho go on his Fozzy tour and then come back and pick it up again, this is the thing. There's no doubt they're great talent, but it'd be interesting to see what they do. Dynamite has got a lot better as well recently. I mean, the past couple of months haven't been great, and now you're finally picking up a little bit of steam. There's no doubt that attendance has helped. And of course, this one's the last one in Daly's place, so from next week for Dynamite, they'll be touring again. So let's hope that can improve it as well.
I still think with Dynamite, and this is also stretches as far as WWE. You are still seeing quite a lot of the same thing, quite a lot.
Yeah,
you're not seeing much difference now.
This is the thing. That's what I've enjoyed. We've seen different guys, taking opportunities, and this one as well. And in a kind of way, you can talent scout and go, right, what's going to have a look? What we're going to have a look at? And it's again a lovely Spanish fly by Guerrero. There's no doubt the guy's talented. He just needs consistency now to kind of battle this down. We've shown the fire that he's got. JR got in a little bit of trouble as well on commentary, calling it WWE Dynamite.
And we're on AEW SmackDown later.
But the thing is, though. But JR did work for WWE for decades, so is it that much a surprise every now and again?
I'm surprised, a different bearing company. For the first 2 years, you're going to be like, hello, Zen Bearing. Oh, sorry, mate.
That's what I'm saying, you know what I mean? It is true, he's not getting any younger, to be fair to JR. But Guerrero now looking to fly again.
That was quite an impressive corkscrew tope suicida over the top rope.
There's no doubt Guerrero's got fire, and... he's got an opportunity, especially if you can get the fans behind him, maybe he's looking to finish things off now. Jericho getting extra excited on commentary. Well, that was beautiful as he goes for the move. And we see a springboard kind of Canadian Destroyer. But again, if we're going to be Mr. Negative in this one, a Canadian Destroyer is kind of one of the most devastating moves ever. And now they're turning it into kind of transitional move.
Well, have you seen what they've done to the fucking super kick?
Yeah, I know.
For fuck's sake. They've killed it.
But nice by Sammy and MJF in all sorts of trouble. But MJF, we talk about Hager and Roman Reigns. I mean, MJF is a classic heel. I mean, he has taken a leaf out of the Miz's book. I don't think there's any doubt about
That's probably why I don't like him.
Well, there's nothing wrong. Miz is the best heel in the business. I don't care what. I could argue that all day with anybody. You just want to see the guy beaten up, and you can lose, and next week he can regain his heat again. That's what makes a great heel, not the fact of picking up victories wherever it is in a certain way. It's being able to lose and then say, do you know what? It didn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, that's how a heel does it.
That's how a heel should work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Always get the heat back towards the end.
I don't care that I lost. I'm here to lose.
Well, just attack him after the bell or something like that. You know what I mean? And MJF now looking to wake himself up a little bit with the water. And you can see the red marks on his chest from the chops from Sammy. And the steel chair is not legal, though. And done by MJF.
A strategically placed chair, because everyone holds a chair in front of their face, don't they? It's like whenever I'm carrying a chair around my house, I carry it right on my face.
Right on your face. And now Sammy... They don't help themselves sometimes with you, do they? No. But MJF's in the crowd. Sammy Guerraro's going up top.
What are they going to do now? They've got fans in attendance, don't forget.
Oh, and Sammy there.
That was impressive, but I think a springboard crossbodying someone sat on the... apron there would be a lot more impressive.
Well, he takes him out, risking it all with Sammy Guervara. He did look like he was thrown out of a moving auto vehicle.
What has MJF actually done in this?
Taking a hill should. That's what he should do. It's all about feeding the babyface's comeback as well, isn't it? So how many times
fucking ribbons.
You get fucking ribbons. Don't start being ribbons. There's one thing about a good heel is how many times they can get up and down. As Guerrero now has got this matchup.
Oh, he's seemingly got it in the bag. MJF looks out of it.
Sammy may be going up to 30 as he loves. He can do a lot of things on top.
But he can't do it quickly because MJF gets up and crutches him on the top rope.
Oh, there we go. MJF with ring awareness. Obviously, this man's only 25 years old. But veteran-like in there. Now he's got Sammy on his shoulders. No, hang on. He's got him in a tombstone position. Off the second rope. Oh!
Second rope. Pile driver.
Well, the second rope tombstone gets the job done. No. Well, there we go. We're talking about a tombstone pile driver for the second. Well, obviously the Undertaker's not joining AEW anytime soon, I guess, so they can...
If you're going to do a fucking move that's stupidly fucking dangerous and don't have it a fucking match, why are you doing that fucking move in the match for?
DDT used to be a finisher back in the day, didn't it? So do you see how we are playing with fire, trying to find something else? And now a pile driver or a tombstone is now not a finishing move. And you're probably going to finish him with, like, you know what I mean? Like a side slam. Roll up, yeah.
An inside cradle gets the victory there for MJF after Guevara kicks out. A super tombstone pile driver.
Well, MJF now holding the knee. Do you think he's in serious trouble? Or do you think he's maybe playing a few games with the referee?
I don't really care. I think the bloke's a fucking idiot.
Well, he is a bit idiotic, a bit stupid to risk it and have the weight come down on the knee on Sammy off the second. And especially if you can't pick him up. Looks like each man, dead weight there.
So what's he done? Actually fuck the ending of this?
No, I think he's just selling at the moment.
Fabe.
Yeah, I think he's selling. Well, he's just doing a good job of that. It looks like he's really hurt though. And MJF, old limp along.
Oh yeah, no, that's obviously so.
One-legged man, and there we go, inside cradle. No,
fucking hell! If that would have actually got the victory, I'd have walked out.
Well, who'd have thought that could have got the job done? Both men, and you would say maybe Guevara, if he can get to his feet, will be in a better position than MJF. Good strategy there, just taking the back of the knee out.
I think it's MJF's face. He's got the look of someone that you just think he's such an irritating prick.
Well, there's no doubt about it now. Looking for the heat seeker, finishing Sammy off.
No, Guevara chucks him into the ring, causing him to land awkwardly on his knee. Springboard sunset flip.
Well, using the ropes, but no, Sammy managing to turn the pin over. MJF just managed to get up, and Sammy works that leg.
Kick to the jaw.
And picking him up, and then like a torture rack into a knee to the face. But MJF just too close to the rope.
Oh, yeah. He kind of got himself out of his pinning attempt.
Talk about being folded up like an accordion. Probably
yeah,
helped
why
him
don't
out.
you sit there not believing it? Why don't you capitalise on it?
And Guevara now, like you said, Dan, needs to strike while the iron's hot. But again, we forget maybe about Sammy's inexperience. He's taunting, he's talking to the crowd, not getting the job done.
If you do the throat cut and it's not successful, you don't do the throat cut again.
Well, he's going up. But he is taking his sweet ass time. Last time MJF managed to stop him. And this time Sammy. MJF pleading with Sammy not to hit this move.
Because MJF knows it'll all be over if Sammy hits this move that's devastating.
On 6:30, right onto MJF.
Oh, he hit his head and shoulder.
No,
and MJF still gets the shoulder up.
Well, he's still got that. That got the job done at Stadium Stampede.
I think this match is really too laggy. Like it's like it's slow in the wrong places.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, it might be an experience with them. You know what I mean? Just try and sell it as Sean Spears comes out and Jericho off commentary to even the numbers. And he gets beat from Wardlow.
He hangs Jericho up over the barricade.
And what about that for Sammy the Man, who put Jericho put Sammy in the inner circle, get beaten up now. Wardlow saying, this is what you're going to get. Oh my God, it throws Jericho. It must have fallen at least 7 feet.
At least 7.5 foot.
Referee checking on them. Can't see the chairman.
And a chair shot to the head.
You hate to see it. Oh, he almost like he got off on that, did Sean Spears.
Wardlow's there happy after throwing Jericho. Must have been at least to his death. Because I don't think Jericho's ever going to recover from that 5.5 foot fall.
And then MJF with his shoulder over the top and gets the victory. MJF beats Sammy. We talked about the match lagging in places. The heel gets the win, but I mean, this was Sammy dominating the majority of this. Was a classic face and heel.
It was enjoying watching Sammy dominating. I think MJF is just an awful wrestler, character, person, everything I don't like about him. And that's not because he's a heel. It's because I just genuinely don't like him. I don't even like his fucking face and his stupid fucking moustacheless beard that he fucking grows with his chubby fucking cheeks and his squinty fucking eyes. Well, he's just an irritating prick.
He picks up the victory here. And call him what you like, but you must call him the winner of this matchup. As Wardlow and Spears pick him up. And like I said, Guevara gave everything that he could. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough in this one. And of course, the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle feud will continue. And then right at the end of Dynamite as well, we get a video just showing their time in Daly's place, which was really, really beautifully done. as well. But that is it for AEW Dynamite. We've had 5 episodes here. So Dan, overall, what are your thoughts on AEW? It's not been bad. I know you may moan, but it's not been bad the past five weeks.
I think throughout a majority of it, my gripes still seem the same. You know, not enough time for the women's wrestlers, too much focus on some wrestlers as over others, and you know, push a certain few wrestlers that really don't deserve it.
Right, Dan. Well, that is it for Dynamite. And Dan, we're thinking we're going to have you on standby, all right? Because at the moment we're scheduled for the Ultimate One for Fight of the Fallen and, of course, Road Rager. If that falls through, I know you'll step up to the mark. You will be back with us, of course, for the well, we're going to have a very special, we're going to have a double header weekend where we're going to bring you Impact Anniversary and then Raw and SmackDown. Yes, Dan is coming back to WWE before Money in the Bank. But that is it for today. We're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Dan?
I'm at WNRDan.
Don't you forget it. You got one job.
Are you the WNR or are you just WNRJR?
I'm WNRJR now, but I always say the WNRJR. A bit like the WNR Podcast. So a lot of people have said, is it WNR Podcast or the WNR? Type it, you'll find it out. Because we are the WNR on Facebook and Instagram, across the Google platform. Send us an email, the WNR Podcast @gmail.com, and YouTube and WNR Podcast with all the latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud.
On your phone.
Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Like I said, next time Dan is with us will be a huge weekend. The next episode for the WNR will be NXT Update with Monty. But until then, I have been James Rowlands and I was joined by
Dan White.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Bye.